All right, investors, how you doing? The Tony Talks Vested Up, compelling sports edge. Let me come to the stage. All right, investors, here we go. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is where we've been putting our energy into. Here we go. And to the trolls that love to do what you do every time that I come on live, I know what you be doing, right? But we still gonna come in here and we're still gonna talk. Y'all know exactly who I am by now, and you still come in here exactly when I hit go live and you do what you do. I understand you try to kill the video very quickly, but guess what? It's more than us, than you. So keep doing what you're doing, because we're going to continue to say free Karmelo Anthony, free Karmelo Anthony. Hey, y'all, if y'all don't believe me, I got proof. Last night, we went off a live after 12 o'clock p.m. We talked from day 86 into day 80. We talked from day 68 into day 69 of Karmelo Anthony being wrongfully convicted. And I got off a live, unlocked the chat under the video so people can come in, watch the video, that didn't have to subscribe so they can make their comment, right? To participate in the video. You're not going to believe what happened exactly almost 3 minutes or less after I unlocked the video. But before that, let me go in and take care of the algorithm. Today, Karmelo Anthony Case, y'all know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that every day. We got 48 hours to 72 hours away. We are away from the two critical motions in the Karmelo Anthony appeal process. So this is just phase one, okay? The recusal of Judge John Roach and the motion for the new trial. One is on the 19th, one is on the 20th. We are officially entering one of the most critical stretches of the Karmelo Anthony case. After 69 days, we've been holding strong for 69 days. Now, this is before we find out that Texas had 70 or 75 days appeal process to get the case, for the new legal team to even submit the appeal notice, the intent to appeal, and also the motion for a new trial. And we was already screaming Karmelo Anthony and keeping tracks of the days even back then before we found out about the 75 day window. As of today, it's 69. We're day 69, right? So after 69 days of examining the trial record, testimony, evidence, courtroom decisions, and questions surrounding the Karmelo Anthony claim of self-defense, we are now approximately 48 hours from two of the most critical motions in his appeal process, okay? 2 days away. It's something to smile about. We are 2 days away. It's something to smile about. Y'all, we made it. We didn't give up. We didn't give up on Karmelo Anthony, and we didn't give up on ourselves. Y'all, we made it. That means we can do it. We can do it for him. We can do it for somebody else, and we can even do it for ourselves. We still holding on day by day, inch by inch, mile by mile. We still here, y'all. We are still here, going strong in the comments. We still got the endurance to go forward, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon, y'all. I'm getting excited. Hold on. So in today's live analysis, we are connecting what we uncovered through our review of the partial Collin County trial transcripts. Thank you so much, Jane Duggar. Even though somebody paid, a lot of people paid $2,500 for it. Hey, somebody said, nah, release it for free, and we got it. So once again, thank you. You know who Vesta you are, Nikki. Thank you, Vesta Nikki. With the arguments now approaching the courtroom, okay? These hearings are occurring under extreme compressed Texas post-trial timeline, making August the 19th and August the 20th critical dates in determining what will happen next. Let's not forget, on August the 20th, it could be, hey, Karmelo Anthony, headline, breaking news. Karmelo Anthony has been released with conditions on August the 20th. August the 19th, motion to recuse. August the 20th, motion for a new trial. So come on with me, investors. Join Tony Talks Vested Up as we continue to break down the Karmelo Anthony case with independent legal commentary, transcript reviews, forensics analysis, and evidential examinations and courtroom procedures. Y'all, we did this. We on We gonna talk about it. But y'all, do y'all see how we've been building step by step, Lego blocks, step by step, man, we've been building this 69 days. I'm gonna have a hot flash. You know, everything, I realize every time I come on live at a certain time, I get a hot flash. I really don't think that is a physical hot flash that I start experiencing. I get it every time around this time of the live, y'all. I'm gonna take that as a spiritual sign, okay? It's a different hot flash, but we're gonna keep moving, y'all. Let's keep moving. And I'm not gonna take y'all time tonight, investors. Y'all did me wrong last night. Y'all had me up here for 4 hours and 20 minutes. 4 hours and 20 minutes. My voice is still raspy, but I enjoyed myself. And yes, we're gonna pick up where we left off. But before I do, I told you I had something to show you. Investors. So go ahead and get your notes, your drink, and your vest, because we stay vested up over here at Tony Talks Vested Up, compelling sports edge. And we got something compelling to talk about again tonight. And no, I didn't cheat on you. I did not read ahead. I still don't know what page was that? Page 65. I think that's where I'm going to start at, okay? But welcome, investors. Welcome. Now, let me go ahead and start. Here we go. Thank you so much. I had a investor. That's why I like being in the chats. That's why I like to read, if I could, every chat. Last night when we had those beautiful discussions, somebody kept their word. I said, hey, send me that. This is my email, Tony Talks Vested Up Compelling Sports. No. Tony Talks Vested Up at gmail.com. And good gracious, boy, the stuff came flying in. Look what I got right here, y'all. Now, I was trying to find a timestamp on this. Investor, thank you so much. Zip your vest up. Thank you. I don't know when this was, when the screenshot was made or when it was captured, but this had to be early when the incident occurred on April the 2nd. And before I go into that, August the 19th, I hope I have not been saying April, because sometimes I get excited in the first 10 minutes of the live. So excuse me if I said April, but August the 19th also is Nolan Wells' birthday. He would have been exactly 19 years old in the 48 hours from now. He would be 19. So rest in peace again, Nolan Wells. And on your birthday, I hope, if your organs have not arrived to Washington yet, I hope that we get a bombshell breaking news regarding your own case, Nolan Wells. I hope we get an update regarding your own autopsy, because we know that somebody had bad intentions with you and you may not have known it. We don't know where it came from, but we know it happened because you're not with us, young man. But you deserve to, how can I say it? Rest in peace also. So I hope we also get some breaking news also for Nolan Wells on August the 19th on his birthday. I hope we get something. Because, hey, if it's true or not, somebody been writing. I know we saw a 2-page letter, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the 4-page letter pretty soon. And we already know that somebody is already wasting away because of guilt, illegal substance, or whatever's going on behind the scenes. A lot of things is falling in place for both of these cases. So, hey, rest in peace, Nolan Wells. You deserve a full peace also. Now, getting back to this, as I stated, I don't know when this screenshot was captured, but let me go ahead and read this to you here. Listen. That's why, Vesta, I'm glad that you was in the right place at the right time when you captured this, whenever you captured this, okay? Let me go ahead. Cynthia Carpenter, whoever that is, just in the screenshot, okay? It is not the Vesta, so I did check. That's what Fox 4 reported as the ambulance was leaving the track field. The two boys and Hunter said that Karmelo picked up the tool they used to put the tent up with after his brother Austin punched him in the face. Fox 4 hurried up and took the local live breaking news story down, and we Dallas folks have not seen that video no more. That's what the two boys said, and Hunter was crying and said, "I stand by my brother, even he was wrong, even if he was wrong." They can't take something away from us Dallas residents. We haven't forgotten. Now we know that Karmelo Anthony was jumped on, and we already know that Austin was the primary aggressor. And when he started welling on Karmelo Anthony, I'm pretty sure everybody else jumped in on that young man, which is why they doctored his arrest record. And we already saw, even in that blurry, distorted arrest record, a grayscale, black scale arrest photo, we can see bruises on Karmelo Anthony's face. But hey, thank you, Vesta, for sharing this with me. Like I said, I was looking for, I was looking for a date on this, and I couldn't find it. But hey, thank you, Vesta, for sending this. Now, let me keep moving here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, another Vesta, they sent me this information here also. Hey, Tony, anyone is looking to reach him or add funds to his tablet account can create an account with this link. Currently, you can only use the modules below, okay? Let me make sure I blow that up. I'll blow that up for you. Then add him as a contact under Securus Debt, and e-messaging is for email. You select his name from your contact list and send him an email. He normally doesn't reply. Most likely told by his attorneys to keep it minimum, but he's getting messages, okay? I send him messages a few times a week. Funds need to be added for sending him an email, and then I add an additional stamp, pay for him to write me back if he wants to write me back, so he can, so he doesn't have to pay. So let me go ahead and blow this up here so y'all can get a capture of this. Let's see here. And if it doesn't come out right, I will make a post in the community tab. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hold on. Share. All right, y'all go ahead and snap that there. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So it seems like the link is www.securus. Dang, I can't even see it. Hold on. securustech.online. There it is, Securus Technologies. So if y'all want to take a screenshot, but I will say this, with Karmelo Anthony having, he's going to be in court in the next 48 to 72 hours. Just hold on. Just hold on to anything that you want to send him, because hey, he should be released with conditions or with no conditions after being granted a new trial with a new trial date, okay? So just hold on to your blessings for him, because I think he's not going to need it come Thursday afternoon. Karmelo Anthony should not need this no more on his books or this mobile account anymore after Thursday. I'm trying to speak it into existence. I am speaking it into existence. But go ahead and screenshot that and we'll move forward. All right. Now let's keep going. Now, ironically, in this video right here, remember last night we was talking horses, clutch your, what they said, clutch your pearls. So trust me, I got a recap. Okay. Now, these are some of the things that came out of volume 5 in the pages that we read. The prosecution, he interviewed, what's his name? Officer Cortez. He gave some information. They was talking about body cams back and forth, this and that. Okay. Now, when Mike Howard get up there, when Mike Howard started cross-examining the arresting officer Cortez, once again, he brought up the body cam footage. Now, it has been confirmed, and it was confirmed last night, of course, what we saw in the body cam that was released to the public was not the whole entire body cam footage. We know that by default. But what we didn't know is that the arresting officer Cortez, he knew of the METCALF twins. So if he knew of the METCALF twins, he 9 times out of 10 knew of the METCALF parents. And something else we didn't know is that his audio on his body cam was turned down very low. This actually came out in the prosecution's part of questioning the arresting officer Cortez, that his volume was real low, and that he couldn't hear everything that Karmelo Anthony had said. So when people was talking about the arresting video of Karmelo Anthony saying this and saying that, y'all, it actually was edited and spliced, because even the arresting officer said on the stand that even with headphones, he couldn't make out everything that Karmelo Anthony was saying, because his microphone was turned all the way down low. Gotcha. Now, the prosecution also brought up Officer Ricky, who was the second one. She was the female officer that came up to Karmelo Anthony when the arresting officer was walking him to the squad car. Actually, that was her squad car. And so her microphone picked up things that his microphone didn't pick up, because his microphone, and I'm going to stress this real again, it was real down low on certain parts. And I raised the question last night. I said, does Frisco has an equipment issue? What is their policies regarding body cam, camera, and microphone? Of course, I need to look that up. But that's one thing that came out of there last night. Now, thinking of the body cam, it was the prosecution asked the arresting officer a lot of questions. Body cam, how Karmelo Anthony was responding here, what did he say, this and that, this and that. But when it came up to Karmelo Anthony defense attorney Mike Howard, believe it or not, he started asking questions about the whole entire body cam footage. And believe it or not, it was the prosecution that stood up and said, objection. Mike Howard said, all I'm just trying to do is just try to get a sense of Karmelo Anthony's emotional state. Basically, the prosecution said that the full body camera that I guess that the prosecution didn't bring to court, anything outside that the prosecution presented to the jury in the courtroom, believe it or not, he said it was hearsay. He said it was inadmissible hearsay. Inadmissible hearsay, even though it's the cops, the arresting officer, full body cam footage of Karmelo Anthony. So that's another highlight from last night. Also, after reading, because I was going to stop right there, I randomly selected, or maybe I selected the first redacted witness testimony, and we read that. I only wanted to read 5 minutes of it, and I said, hey, we'll pick it up tomorrow night. But it got so good that I read the whole entire prosecution questioning of the redacted witness, and that's what we're going to pick up tonight, where Mike Howard is going to cross-examine that 17-year-old boy. Now, matter of fact, here's that 17-year-old boy. So if you remember the video of Hunter and Austin, and there's a group of 2 other boys walking through the gate. This is one of the boys that actually was walking with Hunter and Austin in the group in the gate. He actually was behind Austin, I think. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about, let me picture this. You remember when Karmelo Anthony, he darted up and he ran off and down the bleachers, right? And there was 2 boys that actually ran behind Karmelo Anthony. Well, this is the witness on the stand that was running behind Karmelo Anthony and was pointing to Karmelo Anthony. So that's this young man here. So, and he also talked about what happened under the tent. He even admitted that Austin and people, now listen to what I'm saying. He admitted that Austin, Hunter, I'm sorry, they redacted Hunter's name, but we know who he was when he said his brother, and other people confronted Karmelo Anthony. This is actually the witness words. Excuse me, Karmelo Anthony was confronted. And then he described everything that happened under the tent and everything, the back and forth. Austin was aggressive. Karmelo Anthony was aggressive. Austin was angry. Karmelo was angry. And he also went to describe what happened under the tent. He said he basically knew that Karmelo Anthony poked him, but he didn't say where the weapon came from. So we had a lot of questions last night, but hey, a lot of things that we wanted to know came out of the testimony, right? And he also said, this witness right here for the prosecution confirmed that it was Austin that put his hands first on Karmelo, and not by a little shove, not by, pressing his shoulders, a little push. He said that Austin pushed him with two hands on his shoulder backwards, which caused Karmelo Anthony to lean backward and Austin to lean forward. And that's when I think if Karmelo Anthony hit him, that's when he hit him, which because of the power that Austin pushed him back, the knife went up. I don't think it hit his chest. I think it hit the stomach wound, the abdominal. I'm still waiting to see that. But this witness did say that Austin, he put two hands on him and pushed him back. I said, thank you. And then he also described Austin METCALF's perspective during the event. Now, one also thing he said he witnessed everything. And then I think it was Mike Howard. Yeah, Mike Howard asked him, where were you when all this happened? Now, when he was talking to the prosecutor, he said he was sitting about 2 feet away from Karmelo Anthony and Austin. And he also said that Karmelo Anthony sat down the whole entire time. Now, this is the prosecution witness. Ain't this funny? Okay? Now, he said he's sitting either to the left or the right of Karmelo, probably about 2 feet. But then when Mike Howard cross-examines him, he said he saw all of this by looking over his shoulder. I said, huh? Oh, hey, we got some inconsistencies. We even found some inconsistencies last night. So that's a small recap. Now, let me go ahead and pull up the transcripts, and we're about to begin. Hold on. Share my screen. 1 second. What is this one right here? Talking about this weather thing. Okay, fair enough. Let's continue. Oh, 1 second. Exhibit number 6. At this point, it looks like you're running to the memorial tent. Is that correct? That's correct. And then you get told there is your suspect. That's correct. And you see the suspect in states number 6 right here with his hand. Oh, I'm sorry. This witness is also going to describe and did describe when Austin got hit, exactly what Austin did after he got poked by somebody. Listen to what this witness said. Hands up, yes. And you two are separated at the fence, correct? Let's watch this just a few seconds. Now, let me tell you one thing. If Karmelo Anthony took all of the trolls and the distractors after they watched that video, they said he was running away. He was running away from the crime scene. If there is a fence separating a 17-year-old track star, and if he wanted to get away, he would have been got away, because remember, going back to the arrest record, it took the officers 45 minutes to even get to the stadium, even though the middle school was right there. Pause. If Karmelo Anthony wanted to get away, even on foot or in his car, because remember, he drove there, right? Or he had his car key. So let's just say, it was a visiting stadium. He didn't drive there. Okay, Karmelo Anthony didn't drive there, but he still had his book bag. He still had his phone. I forgot, it was broken by the Hunter twins, but he still had his book bag. Nah, I forgot. In premeditated murder, Karmelo Anthony was a foolish criminal by leaving his book bag. This is what I'm trying to put it, make it sense, because it's still not making sense. Okay, so Karmelo Anthony, in the heat of the moment, he dropped, according to them, he dropped the weapon, right? Okay, he left his book bag in a premeditated stage. M-word. Premeditated stage. M-word. And being a track star, because he was the captain of the team, being a track star, and based off of his pounds and his height at 5'8", 130 or 160, he was definitely a sprinter. And if he wasn't a sprinter, the worst case scenario would be a long distant runner, because with a long distant runner, actually it takes more strength and muscle to go versus the sprints. So that means Karmelo Anthony in 4 to 5 minutes could have got a mile away from the stadium. If he really wanted to do this, to get away from the crime scene. But where did Karmelo Anthony run to with his 5'8", 130, 160 frame? Where did Karmelo Anthony run to? Karmelo Anthony ran to, with his 5'8", 130, 160 frame, he ran to the first adult that he saw to get help, to try to tell what happened. He did not use his 5'8", 130, 160 frame to get away from the school setting, the stadium, wherever he was. He didn't even leave the track. He didn't even leave inside of the fence. He didn't even leave outside of the fence. He ran to the very first adult. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Correct. Let's watch this for a few. So this was the wrong video. So what I was alluding to, also, this particular witness right here, he said last night, he said that when Austin got boom, right, allegedly by Karmelo Anthony, when he fell down the bleachers on his back, and he said that Austin METCALF was able to stand up, and he was walking the fence line, the guardrails, and he lifted up his chest, and he said, "Oh my God." So that was proof that Austin METCALF, he did not pass away at the stadium. He did not pass away at the stadium. And last night, I begged the question, if Karmelo Anthony had the power to hit him with force, to break his sternum or to bruise his sternum, or I forgot what they said or what happened to his sternum, how did Austin METCALF was able to get up and walk and talk after the poking? Seriously. Because the way that the medical examiner said, the only way that Austin would have survived if he was already on the operating table and the doctor was over him ready to suture up that particular wound. But I raised the question, hey, to all of the medical people in the room, it could have been on adrenaline, but not the way that the medical examiner said it. So how could Austin METCALF get hit in the chest like that, fall down on his back and matter of fact, Karmelo Anthony was only 130 pounds. This just came to me. What force could Karmelo Anthony do or give in a push a linebacker of over 200 pounds? Y'all, we still got to take in consideration the size disparity. Karmelo Anthony, I'm pretty sure he was strong, but he was more of a wide receiver or a cornerback type of a style player. He wasn't a linebacker. He wasn't a D-line. He wasn't an O-line member. What kind of force could a 130, 160 young man, the push that he could have gave on a 200+ pound linebacker, y'all? But still, look at what Austin was able to do. He fell down on his back all the way down to the bottom of the bleachers. He was able to stand up, walk, hold on to the fence, pull up his shirt, and say, "Oh my God." And I don't think the young man even said at that point that Austin METCALF even collapsed. Now, I'm pretty sure once he probably realized that, he probably went into shock. Eventually, he collapsed. But that young man did not say that when Austin lifted up his shirt and said, "Oh my God," and they saw all of the DNA on him coming out of his body, that young man did describe that Austin had collapsed. Now, let's go ahead. Now, that's the recap. Now, let me go ahead and do this right here. We picking up where we stopped at last night. I'm going to let y'all go. All right. All right. 165, 165, 165. And this is the same witness. Last night, this was Mr. Wilkie. This was all his line of questioning. And now we're finna go into, let me see here. Where was it? Where was it? Mike Howard. Okay, Mr. Shook. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, this is okay. He's still talking to Mr. He's still talking to. Oh, no. Okay, so we did read that, y'all. So we did read the cross-examination. So, okay, so that's what we read. We read a portion of his testimony, and then we did read some of his. Okay, we didn't read all of his cross-examination. So that's what it is. I scrolled down and we read a portion of his cross-examination. So let me go back to the top. That's what we were doing. That's what we're doing. I told you I didn't cheat on y'all. I told you I did not cheat on y'all. Do you remember his name? Let me find where Mike Howard. They were talking, I believe so, a friendly conversation. He even said that the friendly conversation between Karmelo Anthony and everybody was friendly under the tent before the altercation started. Let's see right here. And he also said that multiple people tried to get Karmelo Anthony to leave. And then also the prosecution, he slipped up and he said, when what did Karmelo Anthony do when Austin METCALF did something to make him move? Hold on. Okay, Karmelo Anthony still sitting down there, right? Okay, yep. 2 hands by the shoulder, 2 hands by his shoulder. So we're getting there. Witness demonstrating where was Austin. Was he right in front of Karmelo when it happened? They was a little off center, So this is Mr. Shook. So let me go back up. So I did drop down. So let me go back up, y'all. Because that was that was a small segment of cross-examination. Here we go, cross-examination. Here we go. So page 148, 148. Yes, sir, that was your way. Also, after the day that Karmelo Anthony, after the day that Austin METCALF lost his life, guess what Austin METCALF friends did the very next day? They went out to breakfast. The next day, you went to breakfast with a few of your friends, right? He said, yes, sir. Where did y'all go? Austin's favorite restaurant. What is the name of this restaurant? La Finca. Who went with you? My friend blank and blank, and is blank a Memorial student? He says, yes, sir. Okay. So is that what that was your way of honoring Austin? He said, yes. Okay. Pass the witness. Here we go. By Mr. Shook. So Mr. Howard did not ask these line of questions. So Mr. Shook said, I had a few questions for you. If you don't understand them, or if you want me to repeat them, just let me know. Okay. He said, yes, sir. All right. You testified that you were at the weight room and you just came back and your friend blank was with you. He said, yes, sir. Is that a good friend of yours from another school? He said, yes, sir. Have you known each other a few years? We have known each other for 5 or 6 years. Have you gone to school together when you were in elementary school? He says Stanley, but not elementary. Okay, so in middle school, he says, yes, sir. All right. And then went to a different high schools. He said, yes, sir. All right. You were asked the question if blank would be welcome under the tent. Okay. Oh, the other friend, that's redacted. You said probably not. You been to track meets, obviously. He said, yes, sir. You see friends that you went to middle school with at track meets? He said, yes, sir. There's nothing wrong, redacted. there would be nothing wrong with blank coming over and talking to you because you've known each other for a long time. Our coaches would not like that. Question by Mr. Shook. So you mean they wouldn't let me, him, like, come up to the tent and just exchange a few words to you? Maybe able to walk by, but our coaches says, no, don't let anyone else under the tent. Have you ever seen other students under the tent talking to Memorial students at any of the other track meets? He says, I don't recall. Okay. Did you go to the track meet that happened 10 days before the Lobo Stadium? At the Lobo Stadium? He says, no. He says, okay, but it is your memory that Karmelo Anthony was sitting outside the tent. Oh, I forgot to bring that up in the recap. Yes, he says Karmelo Anthony actually was sitting outside of the tent, not under the tent. He said outside of the tent. He says, yes. Okay, Mr. Shook said, may I approach the witness? The court says you may. So let me show you State Exhibit 23. If I can give that over to you, and I will make sure I saw it. Hold on. And I will make sure I saw it. Now, this is what Jane Douglas said, okay? Were you sitting with him on this blank? Was he sitting by himself? He was sitting with Redacted. Okay, so blank was sitting next to him. Now, the him I don't know about. They haven't specified. He says, yes, sir. But they were both outside the tent. He says, I believe so. So if he was outside of the tent, hold on. So if he was outside of the tent, what was the problem with that? This is what they said, relative error. And so question, did your coach have a rule about not only can you not be in the tent, but you cannot be close to the tent? I think it was just a general thing. Okay, but you definitely remember him not even being under the tent. He says right at the top of it, right behind it, but outside of it, he says, yes, sir. So Karmelo Anthony wasn't even under the tent. Now, this is what the witnesses said. This is the state, the prosecution witness is saying under oath that Karmelo Anthony was not under the tent. He says, okay. He says, and you are pretty sure of that? He says, correct. Now, this witness said the same thing for the prosecutor, y'all. I'm just putting it out there. Then he said, you came walking back and you were with Austin and Hunter, Redacted. And then and then when you got back to where the tent was, y'all both blank, y'all all clammed up and sat in different parts under the tent. Is that right? He says, yes, sir. And I think you already told us blank stayed more down at the bottom. Oh, this witness here also said that when they went under the tent, Hunter did not go up the stairs with Austin. He said that Austin sat at the bottom of the tent. I know this is a lie, but he said, because Austin said, we went up to him. He said, we didn't know his name at the time, but he said, Austin said, we went up to him and we told him to move. And Austin grabbed his backpack and then I don't want to talk about it. Now, this witness is lying. This witness didn't even know that Hunter said that him and Austin went up to Karmelo Anthony under the tent. Okay. Let's see here. And I think you already told us blank stayed at the bottom, more at the bottom of the tent. He says, yes. And you were more at the top. He says, yes. And then Austin METCALF was kind of to blank. If you were looking at the field to your right, or was he below you or beside you, or do you remember? He said, I'm sorry, can you repeat? Austin METCALF, where did he sit when he got back to the tent? I don't remember where he sat, but I remember him coming up to the bleachers. Okay. So Redacted, and did you blank, do you remember who you sat next to? I believe I was sitting next to blank, and then I think I had friends on my right. Okay. And was it a couple of minutes before you took notice that Karmelo Anthony was sitting outside of this tent talking to, I'm going to say, Eddie Para, or did you see him arrive? I never saw him when he arrived, but at some point I turned around and then he was there. And then you talked about dapped. Did you see them dap up? He says yes. He says yes, he saw them dap up. Now who they are, I don't know, but somebody dapped up somebody. And then they sat down next to each other. Or was blank already sitting there? Do you know? So that was a question. Okay, so the question was, and then they sat down next to each other, or was blank already sitting there, or do you know? He said, I don't remember. He said, okay, when you turned around, they were dapping up at that time, they were talking. Question, so they did that while they were sitting and talking? I believe so. Did it seem like a friendly conversation? He says, yes. Could you hear what they were saying? He says, no. Karmelo wasn't, so this is a question. Karmelo wasn't yelling at blank or causing a scene. They was just talking to each other. Now, all of a sudden, he says, I don't remember. Nothing out of the ordinary, just having a conversation. This witness says yes. You didn't see blank. They didn't look like they were in an argument or anything like that, right? Now, all of a sudden, he says, I don't remember, but he did say, I don't think so. And he was talking blank, but did it look to you like they knew each other? He says, yes. Okay. And it is at this time, do you remember who the first person was that started talking to Karmelo other than, okay, so Eddie Parra. So this group must have been talking to Eddie Parra, dapping up, talking friendly. Okay, here we go. Okay, so they were talking about the group, Honor Austin, the group talking to Eddie. Okay, and it is at this time, do you remember who the first person was, the first person that started talking to Karmelo other than blank? I don't remember who, but I remember a remark about how we shouldn't have people over here and he should go, and then people joined in. Do you remember someone asking him his name? And he said his name is Mello. He said yes. And you remember you told detectives that later that day when they interviewed you, that you distinctly remember you said it was Mello, not Karmelo, but Mello. He says yes. Okay. And is that all he said? My name is Mello. He said, I believe so. Nothing else after that? What do you mean? Just my name is Mello? The answer at that time, at the exact moment, yes. Question, at the beginning, was Karmelo upset, or did that get more upset after the exchanges started going on? The answer is he started getting upset when he was asked to leave. So when he was asked his name, he wasn't upset. It was just after he was asked to leave. Well, when he was asked his name, it was also who's that he should leave. Did blank say anything like this is his friend or anything like that? Eddie Parra. The answer is I don't recall. Okay, and you said as your best recollection that this back and forth went on about 2 minutes. Is that right? They say yes. And obviously, did you have a stopwatch? Were you measuring? But that's your best approximation. He said yes, it was pretty quick. But it wasn't just a couple of exchanges and then it happened. It went on for about a couple of minutes. He says yes. All right. And when Austin METCALF was talking to him originally, he was sitting down. I believe so. I don't know if Austin was talking first, but Austin stood up there when others asked him to go and he wouldn't. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last word. Answer, when people asked him to leave and then he wouldn't, Austin stood up. Did Karmelo, he was still sitting down? Is that right? Karmelo was still sitting down. Yes. Okay. Austin stood up. He says yes. And then did they just start talking to each other, Austin and Karmelo? Austin kept asking him to leave and he would say no. Okay, Karmelo. Okay, Karmelo. You ain't no punk. This a free country, Karmelo. Okay. And he kept saying he wouldn't. He said no. Well, he said no, and then it escalated, and then he said, touch me and find out. And then he might have also said, make me leave. Okay, question. So there's an exchange that kept going back and forth, and it was from you, need to leave, I'm not going to leave. And then it was touch me or blank. It's going to progress as they both got, as you said, angry with each other. Yes, sir. Question. And when asked if Karmelo was aggressive, you said yes. If Austin was aggressive, you said yes. The answer is yes. Do you remember any type of cursing going on? I don't remember any type of cursing. That could have been, but you remember blank was down at the bottom of the tent. Hunter, that's Hunter right here. This is Hunter. But you remember Hunter was down at the bottom of the tent. He wasn't talking to Karmelo. Is that right? He says, I believe he was in a conversation at the bottom of the tent. So Hunter, they want us to believe that Hunter was at the bottom of the tent while Austin is at the top of the tent talking to Karmelo Anthony outside of the tent in a very aggressive anger manner. But Hunter is still down at the bottom of the tent. Okay. All right, next question. You said the book bag, the backpack, that at some point in time Karmelo put his hand in the backpack. Is that right? I think he unzipped the backpack and he stuck his hand in it. Yes. Question. Were you able to see that? He says yes. Now, y'all know when he talked to the prosecution, let me keep reading. Let me keep reading. And Austin METCALF, he was standing up at that time. Is that correct? He says yes. About how far was he away from Karmelo? He was maybe 3 bleachers in front of him. Okay. And when Karmelo stuck his hand in the book bag, did he say anything? He said, touch me and find out. Okay. And you thought, and you described what you said, you told the detectives you thought it was a bluff when he put his hand in the backpack. Is that right? He says correct. Question. Was he trying to be sneaky about it? Was he? He said no. So prosecution, Karmelo Anthony didn't have a secret. He wasn't trying to be sneaky. He didn't have a secret. Did he did it so everybody could see? He hid what was in his backpack. It made it obvious his hands were in his backpack. He put his hands in and he didn't take his hands out. He says correct. All right. Did you take that as a warning from Karmelo? Kind of more of a threat, but I guess that could have been seen as a warning. Okay. And at that time, you thought he was bluffing. He says yes. Was there the thought of some of the other boys under the tent? Hold on. Was that the thought of some of the other boys under the tent? He says yes. There was conversations about if he actually had something in the bag or not. Okay. So this conversation went on long enough that some of the other boys was talking back and forth. So, I don't think he got nothing in there. Yes, roughly. Probably a rough 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay. Just about that subject, about the blank. Yeah, it was quick. Okay. And did Austin METCALF say anything to him about whether he had anything in there? He might have said something like, we're in Frisco. You don't have anything in there. He says, okay. And is he standing up when he said that? He says yes. Question. After the exchange, did Austin start making his way up to Karmelo? I believe he started to approach him. Yes. Oh, Billy, badass. Okay. I believe he started to approach him. He says yes. Okay. Was he just going up the bleachers so he got on the same level as Karmelo? He was about a bleacher under him. Okay. Was he talking to Karmelo as he was approaching him? He says yes. That's what the prosecution knew, that Austin METCALF was the aggressor. We knew that even in the distorted video. So what we talking about? Yes. Was he telling him he was going to move him? I don't know. I don't remember. Do you remember what he was saying at all. I remember, you need to go. So sort of the same thing he had been saying. Yes, sir. But at this point, he had gotten more angry. Yes, both they had. They both had got angry. And then he got blank. Karmelo was still sitting down though. Is that right? He says yes. And Austin went over and got close enough to push him. He says, yes, sir. And when you said pushing, I think the way you described it is if it was not a light, it was not hard, it was somewhere in the middle. He says, yes, sir. And do you remember how he pushed him? Did he use one hand? He said he used two hands by his shoulder. Two hands by his shoulder. Okay. And so you were turned and looking, and about how far away were you from him? How far I was? Yeah. How far where it happened? Well, I was right. It was right here from me. So about 2 feet. Okay. But you, blank, as Austin came, you said it was somewhere in the middle. Did that cause Karmelo's body to go back? He says, yes, sir. Did you see Karmelo Anthony go backwards? Hold on. Did you see Karmelo as he went backwards, a knife come out of the pack? Once again, he says, I did not see any objects. I just saw the motion. So once again, nobody saw Karmelo Anthony with the weapon. Did blank see? Hold on. Did blank? You said you saw the motion. Yes, sir. What kind of motion did you see? In Karmelo leaning back? In Karmelo leaning back, I saw him lean forward. And all of a sudden, he went like this, and then he went in. Okay. Mr. Shook, may I approach? Question. Q? Okay. I was sitting low, so I couldn't really see. Maybe you could show me again, and we may have you maybe then step out so you can show the jury exactly what you saw. Okay. Yes, sir. Could you show me real quick witness demonstration? I think I read this last night. Okay. This is what I read last night. Okay. And where was Austin? He was standing was he standing right in front of Karmelo when this happened? They was a little off center like this. They were a little off center. So you probably would have been here to me. The court says, I'm pretty sure it was the judge. No one can see your hands. No one can see his hands. I can see them from up here, but no one else can. Mr. Shook said, can I have him step down? The judge said, yes. Mr. Shook, is the chair movable? Judge said, it does move. Mr. Shook says, is it all right if I use that? The court said, yeah, sure. Question, do you mind if I step down? Do you mind if I step down and you can kind of show us so we can all see? We are going to have to keep our voices up since we don't have mics, okay? So that the jury can see, and we'll put the chair here. The court, speak up, Shook, speak up. Mr. Shook says, okay. We're going to keep our voices up, all right? Yes, sir. Mr. Shook said, is that okay? Is that good? Can everybody hear me? Question. If you could sit down here in the chair, and if you can demonstrate, first of all, I will sit in the chair and you demonstrate to the jury, you being Austin and how you saw it. Okay. All right. Here's what he says. Karmelo is sitting like this. Question. Karmelo is sitting like this. The answer is yes. And then Austin approached. Did he have his hands down in his bag? Yes. Bag in lap, hand in bag. Austin comes, pushes his shoulder. He's go back. The hand comes out, and then I go down the bleachers. Yeah, this is where we got confused last night. He says, and then I go down the bleachers. The court says, I didn't hear what you said, the last part. Yeah, all of us got caught off last night when he said this. The witness said, so when I lean in, he goes backwards. His hand comes out of the backpack, comes to me, and then I go backwards, and I'm down the bleachers. The court says, and you are, the witness says, I am Austin. All right. So basically what he's saying is he's Austin. Where it is. He's saying, so when Austin, lean in to push Karmelo Anthony goes backwards and his hand come out of the backpack and comes. Now, one time this witness didn't say that the METCALF twins snatched Karmelo Anthony backpack. Let's not forget what Hunter said. We're not going to forget what Hunter said. Hunter didn't take the stand, but Hunter gave us enough information in those 2 interviews, okay? So this witness didn't say nothing about they snatched the backpack and then whatever Karmelo Anthony had in his hands was exposed, okay? So he said that when Austin leaned in, Karmelo Anthony goes backwards, his hands come out the backpack, comes to me, and then I go backwards, boom, boom, and then I'm down the bleachers. And the court says, who are you? He says, I'm Austin. He says, all right. And when you were watching it, were you turned so you could see the full view? What was that? Question. When you was watching what happened, did you turn and you were getting a good view of? He said, I was watching over my shoulder like this, demonstrating. All right, what you just described, when Austin approached Karmelo, the shoving and the stab that happened, that all happened very quickly. He said, yes, sir. So quickly that you didn't even see the knife? He says, yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you answering my questions. The court, do you pass on the witness, Mr. Shook? Mr. Shook says, yes, sir. The court, Mr. Wiki. Mr. Wiki says nothing further. This court, is this witness excused by the state? Mr. Wiki said no objection, and by the defense, no objection. So there you go. The court says you're excused. Thank you. Call your next witness. The state would call. So instead of going back to the officer, we finna go into the second redacted witness. Okay, hold on. Second witness. Second witness testimony. Let's hear. All right, let's see who this is. The state would call blank. The court, hang on a second. What? One moment. I'm sorry, Judge. May I? Oh, hold 1 second. Let me plug this up. All right, here we go. The court. All right. One moment. I'm sorry, Judge. I may have said something inappropriate. Oh, we didn't read this last night. Hold on. The court says, hang on a second, okay? I spoke soon, Judge. Why y'all ain't tell me to keep reading last night? The court says, okay, Mr. Wiki, do you have an objection to Mr. Shook asking an additional question? Mr. Wiki said, I haven't heard it yet, so probably not. Mr. Shook said, no, it is not that. At this time, we can't agree to excuse the witness. The court says, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse the witness. Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. I misunderstood completely. Okay, you can step down and everybody will explain to you what's the next step. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wiki. Could we approach briefly? What? Okay. The court said, you may. Mr. Wiki said, while the witness leave the courtroom. Mr. Wiki, while the witness leaves the courtroom, yeah, who is your next witness? Mr. Wiki, blank. The court, okay, have blank ready to go. Off the record discussion. I wonder what that was about, but okay, off the record discussion. Court says, okay, bringing your next witness, Mr. Blank, you said. Oh, this is a grown man, y'all. This is a grown man. So hold on now. Why are they redacting a grown man? Why are they redacting a grown man? All right, Mr. Wiki, redacted. The court, all right, Mr. Blank. Come over here to this black chair to my right, okay? That's the witness chair. Before you sit down, turn to me, raise your right hand. The witness is sworn. The court, okay, put your right hand down and be seated. Hey, Blank, you speak kind of quietly. Everybody is speaking quietly, okay? So you're going to need to speak up in the microphone so everybody can hear you, okay? Yes, sir. Mr. Wilkie, thank you, Your Honor. Have been first duly sworn, testified as follows by Mr. Wilkie. Blank, here we go. Question, Blank, when the judge said that, I don't think he has any ideas exactly how quiet and chill an individual you are. So you're gonna have to speak up into the microphone, okay? This grown man says, I will. Okay, how are you? 18 years old. Now, this is not a minor. So why is his name redacted? He's not a minor. He's not a minor. Why is his name redacted? Hey, y'all, maybe this is Eddie. Maybe this is Eddie, y'all. Maybe this is Eddie. Because maybe this is Eddie. I want to get the Eddie testimony. Okay. How old are you? 18. All right. You were the class of 26, right? Yes, sir. Just graduated. Yes, sir. Without going into much detail, you are off to college in the fall in North Carolina. Is that right? You graduated from Memorial, right? He said, yes, sir. And we met several times. He said, yes, sir. And your parents were there. Is that correct? He's a grown man, so it doesn't matter. He says, yes, they were. And do you have a parent with you here today in the courtroom? He's a grown man by now. Yes, sir, my father. Is he in the back? Mr. Wilkie. Oh, I'm going to make him stand up, Judge, with the permission of the court. Dad, stand up. Thank you, sir. So going back to 2025, I guess, would have been your junior year, correct? He said, yes, sir. Were you on the track meet? He says, yes, sir. In what event? The 400 and the 200. These are sprint events. He said, okay. Are you fast? He said, I would say so. Yes, sir. Would other people say so? Of course. Okay, fair enough. And who was your head coach in your junior year? Coach Rob Starr. Okay, the jury has gotten a chance to meet him. I'm just curious. What word would you best use to describe Coach Starr? Serious. Okay, fair enough. I thought it was going to be something like that. Did you play football as well? So this is not Eddie. This is not Eddie. He says, no, sir, I didn't. Okay. Did you know Hunter, Austin and Hunter? He says, yes, sir. I knew them both, but I was closer to, this is Hunter's friend. Oh, this is Hunter's friend. Okay. That's just in the normal course of kids being kids at high schools. You were close to Hunter. Yes, sir. And they were both on the track team. Is that right? He says, yes. And your mom is a doctor. Also, this is another kid that if he get caught with perjury on the stands for lying, oh, he's going to make the family look bad and lose scholarships. You know, with perjury in the state of Texas, Penal Code 3703, prison time is in one of the punishment phases, right? You do know that, right? Perjury in Texas under Penal Code 3703, jail time is included. Let's keep going. Yes, sir. Did you know before we were getting ready for trial that your mom was going to be a pediatrician? Did you know before we were getting ready for the trial that your mom was the pediatrician for the METCALF brothers? So everybody do know everybody. Okay, hold on. Yes, sir, I did. All right, let's get to it. What was that? 118. All right. Yes, I did. Okay. All right, let's get to it then. Wednesday, April the 2nd. Do you remember the day of the poking, the district meet? He says, yes, sir, I do. How did you get out there? By a bus, like team bus? Do you remember what time you got there? I say about 8:30. Were Austin and Hunter on the bus with you? Austin was, Hunter wasn't. Hunter was late. Okay. Did they join you once you got to how did she say Ken? Oh gosh, I remember. I forgot. Kendall Kendall. I think that's what it was. Yes, sir. All right. Describe the rain that morning. It was like a lightly drizzling, and then like closer to the poking, it started to rain a little bit harder, and that's what caused a lot of chaos and people moving around. That was the answer. Were you and the other members of the Memorial Track team aware that there was never a rain delay? I think a couple of us was aware that there was a rain delay because some people started to head to the bus, but most people were under the tent. He says, yes, sir. About what time the poking happened, were some of your athletes Were some of you athletes actually out on the field warming up? Yes, sir. They were warming up for the 4x1. I think that's the race. He said, okay. And what were you doing under the tent? Just scrolling on TikTok. Y'all, this is a phone, y'all. This is a phone. This is the first time we hear witness say they had a phone in their hand. So I say again to Officer Chris Bassinet, where are the phones? Where are the phones? Because he said, what were you doing under the tent? Just scrolling on TikTok. Okay, chilling. He said, yes, sir. Okay, understand. Were there a lot of kids under the tent? Yes, sir. There was a decent amount of kids under the tent. Now think about this. It's raining, people's under the tent, and you think they just sitting there talking to other people without being on their phone at the same time? Pause. Let's keep going. Yes, sir. There was a decent amount of kids. We probably had the most out of every team under the tent. Okay, boys and girls, he says, yes, sir. Sounds like you were on your phone. He says, yes, sir. Were most of the other kids on their phone? He says, yes. Where are the phone recordings, the footage? And leading up to the blank, was everybody standing up or sitting down, or was it a mix? I think Austin was the only one standing up, maybe one other person. I really can't remember, but most people were sitting down. And just to get right to it, at some point, did you see the person you later came up to know as Karmelo Anthony come under the tent? Yes, sir. Inconsistencies already, because the other witnesses said Karmelo Anthony was already under the tent. Even Austin and Hunter says he was already under the tent. Oh hell, we got a liar here. We got a scone. Oh God, we got a liar. We got a liar. All right, we're gonna need to take this as a grain of salt. Yes, sir. Describe that for us. Raining, just people moving, and then he comes in from the top of the bleachers and sit right next to me. Okay. Are you blank? Does he sit directly next to you? To the right of me? Okay, the same bleachers? He said, yes, sir. Okay. So this person should see exactly what happened under the tent, right? Were you covered by the tent or not covered by the tent? He says half and half. I was like at the very top of the bleachers, so a little bit was covering me, but some of it wasn't. It wasn't raining hard enough for you to move down a row. He says, no, sir. He says, fair enough. What did you then think when this person came into your tent? A little suspicious, just random kid. Oh, okay. So he was different from the group. He was different from the Austin group, but he was friends with Austin. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Tony, that's on me. A little suspicious, just a random kid, not really with anybody, just solo. But I really didn't think much of it. I am not someone who really addresses people like that. So you are chill. Yes, sir. Okay, understood. Was he wearing school gear? He was wearing an Essentials hoodie. I don't know what pants he was wearing. They may have been Centennial pants. I'm not sure. You know now he was from Centennial. Yes, sir. But there was nothing that immediately identified him as going to Centennial. No, other than his book bag, which we saw later. Okay, that was the blue backpack. The jury has seen it. Yes, sir. Okay. And you said it was suspicious? Talk about that a little. What do you mean when you use that word? Just because he came out of nowhere, not really like with any friends, it was out of the blue. Nobody really prompted him to come sit in our tent. So that's kind of why I was suspicious, and it raised heads. Was he talking to anyone under the tent? Not really. He was just looking around. Oh my gosh. I don't remember him saying that many words. Okay. There has been some discussion that he may have known Eddie Parra. I'm going to say that's Eddie Parra. Do you remember Eddie being under the tent? I blank was right to the right of Karmelo. Okay, so Eddie was right to the right of Karmelo. So it was me, Karmelo, then Eddie. So it was him, Karmelo, then Eddie. No, because he said to the right. Karmelo said to the right of him. So it was him, Karmelo, then Eddie. Okay. So Eddie was on Karmelo's right side. This particular witness was on the left side. Gotcha. Okay. I blank was to the right. Okay, gotcha. Were you aware of any conversations or exchange between Eddie and Karmelo? He says, no, sir. You was just kind of minding your own business. He says, yes, strolling. Yes. Once the team seen this person under or partially covered by the tent, is anybody worried about it? I would say so, because a lot of people are just asking, who is this person? And then as more people asked and more people started to see that he was there, and then that's when like Austin and Hunter both saw that he was under the tent. I'm going to say that's Hunter. Were people asking him who he was or telling him to leave, or how did it all go? I think they were directly asking who he was. I don't remember like the conversations that were had. And then other people were asking around like, do you know this person? Do you know who he is? Conversations like that. And you had never seen Karmelo Anthony before this day. He says, no, sir. Okay. Never ran across him at a Frisco Independent School District event. He says, no, sir. At this point, is he asked to leave? Is he asked to leave? Yes. Is he asked to leave the tent? He said, yes, sir. By who? Austin. Anybody else? No, I don't remember that. But the other witness said many people asked Karmelo Anthony to move. And this witness saying that only one person. He said he can't remember none of that. Okay. And describe at least initially what was Austin upset. He says, no, he was just informing him. He stood up, turned to him, and he was just saying, you have to get out of the tent. Nobody in the tent knows you. It is our like school tent. He raised his voice. Oh, he said he never raised his voice. Just asked him to get out of the tent. And how did Karmelo Anthony respond to the request? He was just going to, he just wasn't going to budge. He seemed like he really wasn't angry, but he was serious on not moving at all. Did it get more serious? Yes, as the conversation went on. Tell us, how did it get more serious and what that conversation was? They just kept going back and forth. And then Austin addressed that Karmelo's hand was in the backpack. And that's when, like, Karmelo, I think, was more serious. His body kind of stiffened up. He wasn't even looking at Austin. He just had like a stare onto the field. And that's when it got more serious. Talk to me about the stare. Describe that a little bit more for the members of the jury. I would say it was a stare like he wanted. Oh my gosh, y'all, here's the plant. Here's the plant. Here's the plant in the testimony. I would say it was like a stare like he wanted to get aggressive. He already knew, he had the mindset on. He already knew what his mind had said on. This sound like the prosecution. Didn't this sound like the prosecution closing arguments about the mindset of Karmelo Anthony? Oh my God. I'm not even a lawyer, and I already picked that up. Not many thoughts going through. Austin is asking him to move, and he's just saying no and yeah. Question. Let me stop you right there. Obviously, something you saw allowed you to form the opinion that he already knew what he was going to do. Oh my gosh. Why do you say that? Just like in his body language, it's just the way his face looked. Oh my gosh. Okay. Did that worry you? To be honest, he said no. Okay. I hope one of the defense attorneys eat this up right here. Okay. To be honest, no. Why not? Nobody is really thinking about anything like that was going to happen. So, I mean, if other people around me were a little worried, I probably would have been more worried too, but nobody was worried. So that means that Karmelo Anthony really wasn't aggressive under the tent. What did you make of the fact that he had his hands in his backpack? I remember Austin saying, like, you have nothing in that backpack. You're from Frisco. And we all kind of like chuckle in like agreements with him. And we thought the same. At some point, does Karmelo Anthony behavior, language, conversation escalate? Probably just the closer parts, of the poking, just more aggressive in the tone, in the way he is responding. Describe for us, Austin. How is Austin? Oh, let me get ready for this. Hold on. I know they're gonna make him the Peace Corps officer. How is Austin responding to this? He kept the same tone pretty much throughout the whole conversation, but he was urging him to leave. Now, the other witness, he said Austin was aggressive. Austin was angry. They was yelling back and forth. And this lying witness right here just said that he kept the same tone pretty much throughout the whole conversation, but he was urging him to leave. Hold on, question. Was it odd that Austin would have stepped up and kind of taken a leadership role to get a person out of the tent? Oh, he says no, sir. Look at the lies, y'all. Now we know these boys are bullies. Now we know that Austin and Hunter has been bullies throughout the community. We already heard all of this, so listen to what this witness finna say. Austin usually likes to step up for a lot of people. I know, I didn't play football, but I know one of his roles on the football team was like the leader, like a middle linebacker. So just based on your personality, you were more than happy to kind of stay out of it and just watch. He says, yes, sir. He says, okay, understood. Immediately preceding the poking, give us the sense of what was going on between Austin and Karmelo, between blank before and after the stabbing. He says, no, immediate before the poking. He says, yes, sir. I would just say conversation. And then Austin, he grabs Karmelo hoodie, just like between his shoulders, started to pull him up, and that's when the blank happened. Now, hold on. So one witness said he pushed him back with a force. Now, this is saying Austin picked him up. Y'all, the inconsistencies. Okay, how aggressive was Austin? Hold on. Back up. So you mean to tell me this witness said that Austin, he was not aggressive, he wasn't yelling, he kept the same tone pretty much throughout the whole conversation. But then, right before the blank, Austin, who has kept this whole tone throughout the whole entire conversation, all of a sudden, Austin grabs his Karmelo's hoodie. Oh, okay, sure. You want us to believe that? Okay. Like right between his shoulders and start to push him up. And that's when the blank happened. He said, okay, how aggressive was Austin grab in starting to push? I mean, aggressive enough to get him up out of his seat. Yeah. Well, he's a linebacker. I mean, aggressive enough to get him out of the seat. Now, this is the witness testifying. You see that, A? This is the answer. I mean, aggressive enough to get him out of his seat, but nothing to where he could have, like, seriously got hurt. Who says that? Karmelo Anthony, according to the prosecutor, was small and tiny, 130, 160 pounds. Austin METCALF was 213. Who says that? Who says that? You can't say that. I want to know how much this witness weighs. Okay. And you said then the blank happened, right? You move your hand. Yes, sir. Can you raise it high enough and repeat the blanking motion you saw so the members of the juries could see it? Now, we remember what the medical examiner was. The medical examiner said that the wound wasn't like in and out. It was front and back. Okay. So he says the stabbing motion. He says, yes, sir. We got the second witness says that he didn't see the poking. Y'all, we got another witness that said he didn't see the poking, y'all. He said you didn't see the poking. Okay, he said you turned your head, right? What did you say? You had turned your head. He says Karmelo's back was to me. But he said Karmelo Anthony was to the right of him. Hold on. He says Karmelo's back was to me. So all I could see was his back since he was sitting right next to me. Okay, let me keep reading then. Did Austin push or shove? Whatever we are going to call it. Did it push Karmelo into you? He said, no, sir. It wasn't that hard. He says, no, sir. But he said he picked him up. Okay, and you were right next to him. He says, yes, sir. So you were facing Karmelo's back? He said, yes, sir. And did you see him make a motion back to Austin, like in a poking motion? He says, yes. Answer, no, sir. The question was, so you were facing Karmelo Anthony's back? His answer was yes. The question was, did you see him make a motion back at Austin? And then the witness says, like a S motion? The prosecution said yes. His answer was no, sir. He said, no, sir. He says, no, sir. Did you see his body move back towards Austin? He says, no, sir. Okay. Well, what do you think happened at this point? I'm asking the same question. He says, honestly, it was so quick, I really didn't know what happened. This is the second witness said it happened so fast, they didn't see Karmelo Anthony poke Austin, y'all. Honestly, it happened so quick, I really didn't understand what happened. I saw Karmelo run up the bleachers, and then I heard a lot of screaming. But I didn't know what to be like scared of until I saw Austin at the bottom of the bleachers. Okay, what did you see when you looked down and saw Austin at the bottom of the bleachers? I saw him lift up his shirt, and then I saw the incision of the poking. Or was it a really big wound? He says, yes, sir. Did Austin say anything? He was screaming that he had been poked, and then I'm going to say Hunter was trying to help him. Did Hunter ever get involved in anything of this? No, sir. Not in the conversation. Okay, that's a lie, because Hunter said let's not forget what Hunter said. Why everybody lying for Hunter? But we know why everybody is lying for Hunter Metcalf, okay? This is Hunter. We heard what Hunter said. Okay, where was Hunter in the tent in the relation to Austin and Karmelo? He was sitting to the left of Austin, directly below Karmelo. Now, everybody else put Hunter at the bottom of the tent. How in the world Hunter has gotten all the way up here to the left of Austin, directly below Karmelo? Let's make it make sense. So now, Hunter has always been at the bottom of the tent now. And I think this same witness said earlier that Hunter was at the bottom of the tent. Now he's saying that Hunter was at the left of Austin and directly below Karmelo. Okay, let me stop you here. I thought the prosecution was going to stop him, because I started to raise questions too. I figured that. Okay, let me stop you there. You said throughout this all, Hunter was seated. He says, yes, sir. The lies they tell, the lies they tell. Okay, once you hear Austin said he had been poked and you see the wound, what's the next thing you remember? I just remember being in shock, like slowly going down the bleachers, not really knowing where to go. But my coach later took me to the bus, and that's about it. That's it. He don't remember nothing else. Okay, which coach was that? Coach Ruiz. Did it look like Austin was trying to pick up? But he picked up Karmelo Anthony. Does this make sense? He has already described what happened under the tent. He said Austin even picked him up. He said he picked Karmelo up. But now he's saying that Austin did not look like he was trying to pick a fight when Austin started everything. Even this witness said that Austin was the one that confronted Karmelo Anthony first. Did it look like Karmelo? Look at this, y'all. Look. Did it look like Karmelo Anthony was trying to pick a fight? He says, yes, sir. Did Austin seem like he wanted to engage physically with Karmelo? If it meant getting him out of the tent, then yes. And that was a shove of a pull, and that was the push or the shove. Yes, sir. Did he act like he wanted to fight him, Austin? He says, no, sir. Oh my gosh. He don't remember what he just said earlier. Did he seem unwilling to fight? Did Austin seem unwilling to fight? He says, yes, sir. He says, no. Okay. How long does this back and forth go on, the conversation? Yes, sir. I would say about 3 to 4 minutes. Mr. Wilkie, may I approach this witness as necessary? The judge says, you may. Yes, sir. I owe you an apology. I thought you were going to be soft-spoken, but you sound great on that mic. Thank you. I don't think you are going to school to be a DJ, but you could. Did y'all see this right here? I don't think you're going to school to be a DJ, but you could. Let me show you this exhibit. I think it's State Exhibit 23, and I'm not too worried about you standing up. I think the jury can see you, but you can stand up. But can you stand up? He says, yes, sir. Keep your voice up. Can you just kind of point out for the members of the jury, as you best recall, let's wait for the defense lawyer to get over here. As you best recall, where were you seated? So anybody, if you hadn't watched this, we already know that the prosecution introduced a distorted video where nobody could see nobody. They even had to draw a circle around Karmelo Anthony. Now, also, the first witness that we read his testimony last night, he was 17 at the time, or he was 17 on the stand. Either way, they showed him a blurry picture. The prosecution showed him a blurry picture. The prosecution brought a blurry video and a blurry video to court and asked this witness, was this him? The witness said, I don't think that's me. He said, but I'm probably in the vicinity. He said, but that guy got a book bag. That's not me. So what he's about to show him, guess what they brought? Since they didn't bring the crystal clear video, which they should have by the Brady rule, the Brady disclosure rule. So they didn't bring the crystal clear video to court. They didn't bring crystal clear videos. They brought, it was called a blue foam seating chart, y'all. They brought a blue foam seating chart for the witnesses to point out where they were sitting at. So this is where this is going. Can you just point out for the members of the jury, as you best recall, let's wait for the defense lawyer to get over here. As you best recall, where was you seated? He said, I was sitting at the top right. And who was right? Who was next to you? Right here is Karmelo, and then blank is sitting here. That could be Eddie. Okay, where's Austin? Austin is right here, diagonal of Karmelo. Had to be on this side because Austin failed on this side. So I'm Karmelo. This is Eddie. This must be this witness, and this must be Austin. Okay. Sitting there. Okay, and at some point, everybody stays seated but Austin. Yes, sir. Okay, where is the jury? Just heard from blank. The jury has heard the name blank. Do you remember where those individuals were? He says, no, sir. Okay. And there were girls under the tent as well. He says, yes, sir. Where was the girls? The girls was in the right, in this region right here. Okay. They stayed towards the front of the tent. They always stayed towards the front of the tent. And did they have their backs turned while all of this was going on? He says, yes, sir. Would you be surprised if none of the girls saw anything? He says, no, sir. So hold on. No. Let's pause. Will had two witnesses and a prosecution try to make us believe that this whole exchange between Karmelo Anthony and Austin happened to 3 or 4 minutes, to a point where they was angry, they were yelling, and they was aggressive. And you mean to tell me girls, where we got very sensitive ears, you mean to tell me all of them girls stayed front and center looking ahead? They didn't turn around to see what was happening. This another lie, y'all. This another lie. Would you be surprised if none of the girls saw anything? He said he would not be surprised if any of the girls didn't see anything. Okay. Okay, question. Okay, I think that's it. You can take a seat and give me a minute, Mr. Wilkie. I just want to retrieve the backpack. I don't think I need gloves because you just embarrassed me and didn't use gloves, so I'm not going to use any gloves. Let me show you this backpack. It is evidence as states Exhibit 25. Do you recognize it? He says, yes, sir. Okay. And oh, okay, hold on, y'all. They said, okay, was the top open or closed? The answer is open. Okay. You know that because Karmelo Anthony hands, because of Karmelo Anthony hands, he says, yes, sir. Can you kind of demonstrate or get me, do you remember if it was his right hand or left hand? Once again, we confirmed this last week that Karmelo Anthony was right hand. So if that's the case, it's been confirmed several times. How could Karmelo Anthony poke Austin at this angle? Do you see this right here? That's the angle of the womb on a 2D diagram. How could Karmelo Anthony, if it's just this right here, because two witnesses already said that he grabbed it, he pushed it. How could Karmelo Anthony do this right here and at the same time get his wrist to bend backwards like this to hit him at that angle? It's impossible. Nah, somebody came across the back of Austin or somebody swung this way and hit him in the chest. No. No. Let me focus. Okay, I think he was his right hand like this. He said, yes, sir. Okay, and you think he had gotten anything in, oh, wait, hold up, right. Okay, and you didn't think he had anything in there, did you? He says, no, sir, not at all. Did anyone under the tent sees what he had in there? He said, no, sir. Let me read this again. Did anyone under the tent see what he had in there? He says, no, sir. Did it ever occur to you he had a blank? He says, no, sir. He says, why not? Nobody thought it would blank. A knife would be at a track meet. It would be against school policy, right? He says, yes, sir. Have you ever seen it before? Hold on. You have never seen it, have you? He says, no, sir. Ever hearing of it happening? He says, no, sir. At this point, did you speak to the police and tell them that you saw, what you told us today? He says, yes, sir. Was that right after the S word? I would say an hour after the S word, maybe an hour and a half. No. That is too long. If he was sitting on the bus with the other students, oh, they definitely got their story right in an hour and a half. Because we just confirmed that the police didn't talk to some of these witnesses. It was about an hour or maybe an hour and a half. 60 to 90 minutes to a busload of students who know that more students had picked on Karmelo Anthony and they had a lot to jeopardize. Remember, this student here, his mother is a pediatrician. So he got something to lose. And you were sitting right there. You said you were sitting right there. And you mean to tell me you didn't see nothing sitting right there? And your mother is a doctor? She's a pediatrician. Matter of fact, she was the METCALF twins pediatrician. Okay. At some point, were you able to reconnect or reunite with your parents? He says, yes, sir. Okay. Last few questions. I mean, you are a smart guy. Do you know what the issues are? Did Karmelo Anthony blank Austin METCALF in a self-defense? Mr. Howard says, I'm going to object to speculation and legal conclusion. The court says, as long as this is a violation. You cannot have a 17-year-old talk about or confirm M-word or self-defense. It has to be an expert. Now, this is what Judge Roach says. As long as we are talking in layman's terms, do y'all remember that appellant judge, legal judge, self-defense judge? His name was Brian Wise, that I was playing over and over in the beginning of this. He said this was one of the biggest mistakes that Judge Roach made. And he actually still a defense attorney in Texas. He said, you don't ask no 17-year-old witnesses the definition of self-defense, or did if it was M-word or self-defense. He said that only comes from experts. Oh my gosh. But we know because of the secret gentleman's agreement, there was no experts allowed to testify in the trial. The court says as long as we're talking in layman's terms, As best you understood, self-defense blank, self-defense blank. Did this look like self-defense to you? He says, no, sir. So after Austin grabbed Karmelo Anthony up, got aggressive with Karmelo Anthony, pushed him so hard that he did a back and forth rocking motion. This witness says Karmelo Anthony didn't act in self-defense. Wow. Was there any threatening talk from blank blank towards Karmelo Anthony? Now, why did they redact it out, Austin or Hunter? No, sir, not at all. So, okay, so this must be Hunter METCALF. Was there any threatening talk from Hunter METCALF towards Karmelo Anthony? He said, no, sir, not at all. Was there any threatening talk from Austin METCALF to Karmelo Anthony? So why would he? Do y'all see this right here? Once again, the prosecution is bringing up Hunter's name. It's the prosecution that's actually placing Hunter at the scene of the crime. The prosecution keep putting Hunter's name at the scene of the crime. No, sir, not at all. Was there any threatening talk from Hunter METCALF to Karmelo Anthony? He said, no, sir. Did Austin want to fight that day? He said, no, sir. Was Karmelo Anthony the aggressor? He says, yes, sir. After he described Austin as being the aggressor, did Karmelo Anthony provoke Austin METCALF in your opinion? He says, yes, sir. Mr. Wiki, I passed the witness. Mr. Howard, yes, sir. Thank you, Judge. Here go to cross-examination. Here go to cross-examination. See, I'm moving a little fast tonight. 151. Cross-examination. And then, y'all, I'm going to let y'all go, y'all. I'm going to let y'all go. You know I'm going to get in them comments, but I'm going to let y'all go after this one. All right, Mr. Howard. So, Mr. Shook, he cross-examined the first witness. Mike Howard is going to cross-examine this witness here. Gotcha. Okay, I got to get my facts right. Okay, Mr. Blank, I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay, he said, yes, sir. And if you don't understand my questions or anything is not clear, just let me know. Okay, he says, okay. So you said that it was about an hour after the incident. He picked it up. Just the same thing I said. So you said it was about an hour after the incident. We're talking about that you met with the police and talked to them. I promise y'all, I ain't see this documents. I ain't see it. I didn't cheat. He says, yes, sir. That was their own, I say on the scenes, it was in some buildings very near. Hold on, let me know. He said, hold on. He said, yes, sir. Question, that was their own, I say on the scenes, it was in some building very nearby. He says, yes, sir. Okay. They took you into a room, you waited around, and eventually you were able to speak to an officer. He says, yes, sir. And I don't know if you remember, but that was Officer Spark. Does that sound right? I wouldn't remember. Okay. Hold on. So they don't remember the officer they talked about, but we supposed to believe that these 17-year-olds and 18 years old, they know the difference between self-defense and the N-word, and they know what being provoked or provocation means. Get out of here. Get out of here. This witness don't even recall the officer name that he talked to. He says, yes, sir. He said, I wouldn't remember. Okay. And I'm sure they were told you that they were videotaping it in a body cam, right? He says, yes, sir. Okay. They went over basic information. They asked you what you saw, that sort of thing. He says, yes, sir. He said, okay. So you talked about, let me get my notes so I get your blank. I want to get your words right. Okay. You said you arrived around, I think you said about 8:30. Yes, sir. And you said it was raining lightly at first. He says, yes, sir. And then it got harder. I think your words were close to the S word. It started raining harder and that caused chaos. Does that sound right? He says, yes, sir. Okay. So in pouring down rain, Karmelo Anthony is outside of in light rain, Karmelo Anthony is outside of the tent. But they didn't say when it rained harder, Karmelo Anthony still came under the tent. He didn't say that. But let's keep going. Okay, so at this time, you said you notice Melo come into the tent. Yes, sir. It would be hard not to notice he's sitting right next to you. He says, yes, sir. You are at the very top corner of the tent. He says, correct. He said, yes, sir. And there's a space next to you that's open. He says, yes, sir. And then blank is sitting in the next seat. It got to be Eddie Para. Is that correct? He says, yes, sir. And so Melo kind of comes along the line behind the tent and then comes next to you. No, he comes from the top of the stadium. Y'all. Y'all know that Karmelo Anthony didn't come from the top of the stadium. He came from under the stadium. He walked and let me just go with it. Let me stay with it. The top of the stadium, even Mike Howard was like, the top of the stadium, he said, yes, sir. Okay, I guess fair to say you probably wouldn't turned around and looked backwards. You were strolling on Instagram doing whatever, and then this guy comes from behind you in some way. Okay, so that's what he didn't see him. He didn't see him come in. He just saw him come down and sit down halfway outside of the tent. Okay, top of the bleachers. Okay, and then this guy comes from behind you in some type of way. He says, yes, sir. Okay, about how far between you and blank is this space we're talking about? Like how? Like for Karmelo to sit? Yeah, the opening space that he is able to fit into. I would say Karmelo maybe like almost need a knee with me. That ain't 2 feet. So that's pretty close. Okay. You are blank. I don't want to say packed in there, but is it still raining or y'all are under the tent? And y'all are under the tent. He says, yes, sir. Okay. So there's enough space for him to sit, but y'all are close enough that you say you'll need a knee. I see where Mike Howard is going. If you need a knee, but you didn't see Karmelo Anthony with a weapon in your hand, sitting even 2 feet apart, and you watching the encounter, you still don't see Karmelo Anthony with nothing in his hands. I see where Mike Howard's going. Let me find out. Okay. So there's enough space for him to sit, but y'all are still close enough that he said you need a knee. Kind of, yes, sir. And I'm sure you weren't paying exactly attention on Blank's side, but would you say about the same amount of distance between him or closer to it? Close to it, yes, sir. So him, Karmelo, and Eddie. Okay. So he's in there, I would say fairly tight. It is not like there is a foot of distance between you and Melo and the feet of distance between Melo and Eddie. Is that fair? He says, yes. Okay, they're very tight. Okay, so, and I think you said you were aware that Centennial didn't have a tent that day. He said, no, sir. And so Melo, it was raining. Melo comes to sit next to you. Does he say anything like, hey man, can I sit here? Or does he address you? Do you remember? He doesn't really address me at all. He just sat there. So you remember, I just want to make sure because I asked count of 2 questions and that was lazy of me. So you remember and you don't. You remember affirmatively that he didn't ask. He didn't say anything to you. He says, yes, sir. Okay, that was messy. Okay, so blank, and I believe you said, I think earlier, you said that you don't remember him talking. Hold on. He's using one of my words. Let me find. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah, I think you said, I don't remember him talking to anybody. He did say that. He says, yes, sir. You don't remember when you talked to Officer Sparga, said that Melo was laughing and joking around? No, sir. He said, oh, the witness said, no, I don't remember that. So Mike Howard saying, you don't remember saying that, or you don't think you said that? The witness said, I don't think I said that. Mike Howard said, okay, may I approach the witness? Okay, Judge. Judge said, you may. Tell me what? Tell you what? Let me wait just a second and then I'll find it. Well, I'm going to not waste the time. I'll come back to that. Oh, come on. Well, we already know about the secret agreement, but God dang, Mike Howard. Okay, question. So he sits there and you sat right next to him and he's sitting right next to Eddie. and you're at the top of the corner. You said earlier, I think, that there was a lot of people under the tent. He says, yes, sir. I think you said we. I think we had the most people under the tent. He says, yes, sir. Okay, I assume then there are, if we imagine I am you and this is Mello, and there is Eddie is here, and there are people further down past Eddie, correct? I'm assuming that's Eddie. There may have been, I can't remember, but it's a crowded tent, right? Good question. Yes, sir. I'm not asking if you remember who those people were. I'm sure you're not really paying attention, but it was a crowded tent, right? He says, yes, sir. Okay. And then you said there are people in front of y'all. He says, yes, sir. Down at the bottom, I think you said are the girls. He says, yes, sir. And then I said and then I think you said blank is that directly in front of where Mello is sitting. He says, yes, sir. And then Austin where's Austin? He says diagonal. So sitting to the right of blank, sitting to the right of where Mello is. So Austin is right here. Austin is on this side, the right side of Karmelo, right here diagonally. Okay. Sitting to the right of blank, sitting to the right of where Mello is. He says, yes, sir. And you and everybody else, he says, yes, sir, got it. And then there is other people. There is blank. There's a lot of people. He says, yes, sir. He says, okay, may I approach? This is Mike Howard. Mike Howard said, may I approach judge? The court says, yes, sir. I want to show you a transcript of the video you did, okay? I want you to read this yourself, not out loud, and see if this refresh your recollection here, starting at the 33 minute mark through the end of the 7:35 mark, okay? He says, okay. Does that refresh your recollection at all? He says a little bit. So you do remember saying that he was joking around. I said singular joke. Y'all see this right here? Okay. So he was clearly talking, and it had been a year plus. You can't remember every single little thing. That's fine. He says, yeah, okay. And I'm assuming you said earlier, you are not really paying attention. He says, yes, sir. So you're not engaged in a conversation with him. He says, no, sir. You're strolling on your phone? Yes, sir. Do you have headphones in? He says, no, sir. You're just strolling? He says, yes, sir. And Mello seems normal, friendly when he sat down and everything. He says, yes, sir. Okay. Let me keep reading. So we talked about the government asked you a question about did he have any school gear, right? He says, yes, sir. He said he had on the gray essential hoodies. Yes, sir. Essentials is the brand, right? Yes, sir. And the logo is Essential Fear of God. Yes, sir. Is it a popular brand? He says, yes, sir. And then you said he had on some sorts of pants that you don't remember. Maybe they were school or maybe not. He says, yes, sir. And he has his backpack. He says, yes, sir. And we haven't seen that. And we have seen that. It is the Centennial backpack. Yes, sir. And I think you said the backpack was in his lap. Yes. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So he sits down with his backpack sitting in his lap. The answer is, I can't remember when it sits down if it was on his back and then he transferred it to his lap, but I feel like it was, I would have seen it. So I think it was on his lap. Excuse me. Okay. Normally, if you have a backpack with stuff in it, you may carry it on your back the way you normally carry a backpack. He says, yes, sir. And then if you were doing that, if it was eventually ended up in your lap, you may have taken it off and put it in your lap. He says, yes, sir. And it is sitting on his lap and it got the big Centennial logo on it, correct? He says, yes, sir. Okay. So you said that they started to be some talk amongst the people under the tent. Who is this guy? He says, yes, sir. I think you said that to the best of your recollection. Everybody is seated except for Austin at some point. Yes, sir. Is Austin standing the whole entire time? Is he sitting and then at some points he stands up? He stands deeper into the conversation. Okay. So at first everybody is seated. He says, yes, sir. The best you can. I'm sure you were not taking notes of every single person, but as you remember, he says, yes, sir. And then so as people are asking, and there is more talk about who this guy is, that's when Austin gets involved. He says, yes, sir. And you think that doesn't surprise me? Hold on. And you said that doesn't surprise me. He was kind of, a leader, a take charge guy. He says, yes, sir. And Austin was a big guy. He says, yes. He and Hunter are identical twins. Yes, sir. So obviously Hunter is a big guy. Oh, so Mike Howard brought Hunter into this too. Not all identical twins are exactly the same size, but maybe one plays a different sport, but they are roughly the same size. He says, yes, sir. So they are both big guys. Look at this. Yes. 6'1", 215, 220, something like that. I'm not sure, but maybe. Okay, they played linebacker. I think so. Right. You didn't play football. He said, no. He says, okay, you didn't play football, right? He says, yes, sir, I didn't play football. Gotcha. They were throwers on the track team. Shot put. Yes, sir. Throwers are generally big guys. Yes, they are. And so blank is directly in front of Melo. Austin is at the side, is off to the side. So Hunter is directly in front of Melo. Austin is off to the side. Is he like down a bleacher or two as well? Down one bleacher. Okay. Down one bleacher and off to the right. Yes, sir. Okay. At some point you said Austin stands up. Yes, sir. And so is that a blank? He stands up, blank, turns to Melo and is addressing him while he's talking to him. Yes, sir. Okay. And I believe you said that he wasn't aggressive, any kind of the same tone and kind of the same tone throughout. He says, yes, sir. Okay. Telling Melo to leave was one. Telling Melo that was a one-time thing, a 5-time thing, a 10, 100. Where would you put that? It was definitely like multiple times. And I mean, because Karmelo wasn't leaving, that's what prompted me to ask. Oh, that's what prompted him to ask over and over again. Okay. So over and over again, you would say 10 plus times, 10, 15, something like that. Okay. And I don't recall if you said this earlier, but do you recall Melo saying anything like, don't put your hands on me or something like that? Does that sound about right? He says, yes, sir. Okay. And as this is going on, although it takes a long time to talk about it, we are saying he said 10 to 15 times. Is it fair to say that all of this is kind of happening pretty quickly? He's going to say, yes, sir. From Austin standing up to then moving towards Melo, that's all. How long you say? Oh my gosh. Hold on. Oh, from Austin standing up and then moving towards Melo, that's all. How long you say? Austin really didn't have to move towards Melo. He was just, hold on, what? He says, Austin really didn't have to move towards Melo. He is just staying in his like spot. Okay, so he's standing here. Okay, I'm Karmelo. Okay, he's standing here. Okay, because we were kind of tight. I would say like 4 or 5 minute. I would say like a 4 or 5 minute altercation. 4 or 5 minutes, you say. Okay. So this is totally normal and regular everyday conversation, but in the courtroom, I have to try to make everything really clear. So between him and him, you were saying 4 to 5 minutes from the time Austin started telling Melo to leave, and every blank, all of the back and forth between Austin and Melo to the time that Melo is running out. Answer would, I would say from that time, the poking happened. He ran out of the tent immediately after poking. Is that fair? He says yes. Okay. So we are talking about the same thing. I'm not trying to trick you. So don't put your hands on me when you remember him saying that. Is Austin standing by that time? He says, yes, sir. So when Austin stands, is that when you notice Melo putting his hands on his backpack? Huh? I didn't notice Melo put his hand in the backpack until Austin addressed it. But you're sitting right here. You're sitting right here. So nobody's y'all, this is crazy. Okay, so you never actually saw the hand go into it. He says no, sir. Y'all, we got one witness said he never saw Karmelo Anthony hands go into the book bag. He says no, sir. Your attention was called to, your attention was called to it when Austin called it out. He says, yes, sir. But you sitting right here. So you sitting right here watching, you sitting right here. So you're watching the encounter between Austin and Melo, but you don't see no hand right here. Okay. I think you said Austin said something, and when I called it out, he said something like, I know you don't have anything in there because you are from Frisco. Yes, sir. And this, and is that what made you look and see that he got his hands in his backpack? He says, yes, sir. Okay, gotcha. So at this point, Austin is standing. Yes, sir. Melo is seated. Yes, sir. You are seated. Yes, sir. You are right behind. You are right next to him. He says, yes, sir. Need a knee. Pretty much. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. And then blank is on the other side. Hunter. Do you even remember Hunter standing up? I don't remember Hunter standing up. Hunter. Okay. When you say you don't remember, I am sure he didn't stand up, or I didn't see it. I don't remember. I'm sure he didn't stand up. Okay, gotcha. I would have said that too. And so would it be fair to say kind of Austin is calling Melo's bluff with his hands in his book bag? Is that kind of how you saw it? He says yes. Like Melo is putting his hands in his book. Like Melo is putting his hand in the book bag as a back off kind of warning. Don't come over here. I got my hands on something. Yeah, you could say that. Okay, I mean, is that how you kind of interpret it in that moment? He says yes. And to be fair, you said I don't think anything of it at that time. I didn't think anything was going to happen. He says, yes, sir. And so by Austin, you said Austin is down one row. By a row, I mean a bleacher row, right? You say yes. And then over some time, but close enough that he doesn't have to like take a bunch of steps to get over there. He says, yes, sir. But he does move kind of over closer to Melo to put his hands on him. I think all he does is rotate his body to address him. Okay, so kind of, I'm going to just demonstrate. Mr. Shook, he says, may I? So he stands up and rotate his body around. Yes, sir. Is that fair? Yes, sir. Did you notice it is a blank? Yes, sir. Blank. Did you notice blank stands up when Austin stood up? He says, no, sir. Oh my gosh. Do you have your eyes on Hunter at this point? No, sir. Would it be fair to say there is a thing, whatever it is that's happening between Austin and Melo? Yes, sir. I see where he's about to go. Okay. Did you notice Hunter telling Austin? Did you notice Hunter telling Austin don't touch him? Okay, hold on. Okay. Did you notice Hunter telling Austin don't touch him? He says, no, sir. Okay. I guess I didn't ask this earlier, but we talked about the tent being crowded or full, or y'all had the most in the tent. I haven't asked for a number, but to be fair, I'm not asking you for an exact number. No one expects you to know. 15 to 20, probably 30. What would you say the number was? 15 to 20. 15 to 20, okay. And everybody under the tent is from Memorial with the exception of Melo. He says, yes, sir. And I don't think I asked you earlier either, but it seems like Melo knew Eddie to you, correct? I'm going to say this is Eddie. I don't know at the time. Okay, you didn't know at the time. He says, no, sir. But you have come to know later. He says, yes, sir. I understand. So Austin stands up. From the moment Austin stands up, does he stand up or just stand there for a while? And that's where the back and forth is happening before the physical contact actually happens. He says, yes. So there is however many it is, you need to leave. That says however many times while he is standing. Yes, sir. And Austin is obviously, if he doesn't have to take steps, he's close enough to touch Melo. He says, yes, sir. Blank is seated right in front of him. That is Hunter. That got to be Hunter. Yes, sir. Now, I'm assuming with all of this going on, Hunter just doesn't stand there with his back to facing the field, with his back to it facing the field. I'm assuming he turns around. Y'all, they want us to believe that Hunter is still on his phone while all of this commotion is going on. Hold on, what he said? Now, question, I'm assuming with all of this going on, Hunter just doesn't stand there with his back to it facing the field. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they want us to believe that Hunter just stayed just like this, no matter what's going on behind him, one row behind him, very tight quarters. They want us to believe that Hunter didn't stand up or didn't get in the altercation. They want to believe that Hunter was a, how can I say it? Basically a big old dummy, 220-pound dummy, just staring this way, looking this way on the field and not even looking back to what was going on. According to this witness, I think he was on his phone. I'm assuming he turns around. I think he was on his phone. Okay. So you think he is ignoring this completely? Yes. Almost like Austin. I'm going to just let my brother handle it type of thing. Oh my God. Okay. So while this altercation is kind of heating up, Hunter is completely disengaged on his phone. They want us to believe that Hunter was totally disengaged in this whole entire encounter. He says, yes, sir. So he doesn't even turn around. He doesn't even stand up. He doesn't even do nothing. He said he turned around at the end of the altercation. Oh, is this when Hunter said all of a sudden he didn't know what happened? He just whipped around and he didn't know what had happened. Okay. I see somebody did watch Hunter's interview. He just forgot about the first part. He forgot about the first part when Hunter said him and Austin went up to Karmelo and told him to move. And we grabbed his backpack. And then Austin put his hands on him. And then it was an accident. I just don't want to talk about it. So he watched half of the interview, but the other half of the interview, he didn't say. Okay. Question. So as you described earlier, when the government was talking to you about Austin, he reached out and grabbed Melo. And you think of a kind of, it's described as a picking up motion. Is that fair? Yeah, I would say so. Again, I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah, he kind of grabbed him hard to get him out of the seat. See? Yes, sir. So to do this, I understand. So to do this, I just want to make sure I understand I'm using both hands if I'm Austin, right? Yes, he jacked him up. He basically jacked up Karmelo Anthony. And I'm grabbing somebody, and I think you said by the shoulders. Yeah, in between the shoulders right here. In between the shoulders, so kind of high on the chest, where the lapels of the coats are. Yes, sir. Damn, he had him around the neck. He had Karmelo Anthony around the neck, y'all. Near the lapels, this is lapels. He had him around the right here, y'all. Yes, sir. So he's grabbing at him and then closely fist to grab, right? He says, yes, sir. And then he picked him up. The best way I can describe it is like a lineman's drill where they push them up like that. That's the motion. Okay. So if I'm standing and Melo is, if I'm standing and Melo is still seated, right? Like during the altercation. So no, he is standing. Okay. So Melo stood up. Y'all, they are loud again. He says yes. I guess if you stand it up because you picked him up, but let's see what he says. Okay. So then you said like a lineman drill. So I played football. I think I understand what you're talking about. You are saying, Mr. Howard says, may I stand, Judge? Okay. Question. So you are saying the lineman drill is where the lineman either grabs or whether it's another player on the pads or one of the sheds, grab it, push forward. Yes, sir. Like forward and up. He says, right, sir. Okay. So they're going, you said they are standing. Yes, like when Austin grabbed Karmelo, it was Austin almost simultaneously when Karmelo stood up to stand up, started to stand up. Okay. So when Austin goes to move, yes, sir, Karmelo started from a seated position. Yes. And then from your perception is that Melo is standing as Austin is grabbing. Yes, sir. In an upward motion. Yes, sir. Okay. Upward, as if you're doing a lineman's drill, upward and back a little. Oh, that's how he grabbed him. Yes. And then it's in that time, like, well, let me say this. You said you didn't see the poking, right? Yes, sir. Did you see Melo's hand come out of the backpack at all? Once again. So even in the lineman's drill, they want us to believe that Karmelo Anthony, if he had something in the backpack, they still didn't see. So even when Austin had his whole hands on Karmelo around his neck, he's lifting him up in the lineman's drill. Karmelo, and they want us to believe that Karmelo hand is still in the backpack. Shit, if this actually works out for Karmelo Anthony, but they still want to believe they didn't see nothing, y'all. So to me, Karmelo, still, there has not been one witness said that they seen Karmelo Anthony with nothing in his hands. We done got to page 208 and nobody ain't said they ain't seen nothing with Karmelo had nothing in his hands. Okay, did you see Melo's hand come out of the book bag at all? He says no, sir. Okay, so as far as you know, you just saw that motion and then that is what you saw. He says yes, sir. After all of that, you described how Melo ran out of the tent, right? He says, yes, sir. And then down the field, did you watch him as he was walking around the field or where you headed out? He said, not really. I just saw him with a coach while he was on the field. Okay. So you saw him on the field with a coach. He says, yes. What did you do after that? Did you go back to the bus with the other students? He's going to say, yes, sir. Okay. And then I assumed at some point, the police identified you as somebody who had possibly seen something of interest. And that's when they took you to talk to you. Then the answer was, we were on the bus. And if they asked if there is people who had seen something, if you want to tell, I know they ain't asked this question. We were on the bus and they asked if there is people who saw something. If you want to tell the investigators, I got off the bus. So is it safe to say that it was people that probably saw something that was sitting on the bus but didn't want to talk to the investigators because they didn't want to get nobody in trouble from Memorial? I'll let you ponder that. And you said I saw something. He said, yes, sir. Question. It is while y'all are on the bus that y'all are trying to Oh, Mike Howard. This where it goes on for like, now mind you, these students have been on the bus for an hour and a half, just sitting there, coming up with their own stories, talking about who saw what, who did this, did y'all see this, what happened, oh my God, this and that. The first student said he called his mother and he told his mother to come pick him up. Now, this witness says, it is while, question, is it while y'all were on the bus that y'all are trying to figure out who this is and found out Melo like Instagram or something like that? He says, yes, sir. So they had their phones. So even on the bus, they had their phones. So the police had not retrieved all of the cell phones at this time because they're strolling on the bus. So somebody got that footage, y'all. It is crystal clear now that somebody has that footage, and I'm pretty sure they uploaded it to their cloud. Now we know for sure that they had their phones on the bus for an hour. hour and a half, y'all. The students had their phones on the bus for an hour and a half. And you don't think that nobody had that footage? You don't think nobody was sharing that footage? You don't think nobody sent that footage? Hey, save this for me on for a rainy day. You don't think nobody sent that up to their cloud? What? For an hour and a half. He says, yes, sir. So y'all are clearly talking about, I ain't even know this right here. He says, so y'all are clearly talking about what happened. He says, yes, sir. How could you not? Yes. Yeah. And I assume everybody is saying, I saw this and I saw this. I didn't see anything, that sort of thing. Yes, sir. Mike Howard. Oh, Mike Howard. No. Oh, God. Oh, God. All right. I got to take in consideration the secret agreement. God dang. This is how they came up with their story, y'all. Somebody got footage. On page 209, there's proof, page 209, that it took the Frisco Police Department an hour and a half to even go to the bus to talk to the students, to ask them, did they see anything? Was it anything they want to say? And you think in an hour and a half, they didn't share video, they didn't have video, they just sent it to the cloud. And they still had their phones almost 2 hours, y'all. Wow. Okay, hold on. All right, y'all, hold on. Yes, sir. No further questions, Judge. Mr. Wilkie, nothing for the judge. Excused. No objection from the state. Subject to recall. Oh, you are subject to recall. Okay, so Mike Howard said that particular witness was subject to recall. Oh, Mike Howard must have had something up his sleeves. The court said you are subject to recall. They'll explain to you what that means. You may step down. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take an afternoon break. This is perfect. It is 2:13. Please be ready in the jury room about 2:30-ish. Remember my previous instructions to you. Please go with the bailiff. The bailiff, all rise. Jury not present. The court. Let the record reflect the jury have left the courtroom. Anything on behalf of the state, Mr. Wilkie? Nothing from the state. The defense? Nothing from the defense. May I have you attorneys approach? Everybody else follow the security directions. Off the record discussion. Recess in progress. The court, everybody be seated. Thank you for being on time, y'all. There it is, y'all. There it is. I'm going to call this redacted witness number 2, y'all. All right. It's 2 hours and 27 minutes. I'm tempted. I ain't gonna do it. I'm tempted, but I'm not gonna do it, y'all. I'm not gonna do it. Now, why is Tony Talks vested up going over all of these transcripts? Because y'all, the devils is in the details. If the prosecution said in its closing statements that there were major and minor inconsistencies, and if Mike Howard brought up 2 wounds, I want to know where, because the medical examiner didn't mention 2 wounds, but somebody mentioned 2 wounds. I want to know where the 2 wounds was. It's not in 5. It's not in 5, but he definitely said that in 8. So we already know that some of this is redacted, okay? But let me go to the comments, y'all. Let me go to the comments by the next 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. So, so the schedule for tomorrow, I will not be back tomorrow. I need to take care of my Shador Sanders Vestas tomorrow, but hey, I would definitely be back Wednesday morning, because Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, so that'll be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, if my time zone is correct. The motion to recuse John Roach will start. The proceedings will start. So I would be online Wednesday morning. I'm going to say about 9:30. So that'll be about 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to start to see what type of footage I can get. So I'm not coming on tomorrow night to discuss the Karmelo Anthony case. I will be discussing NFL. So let me go to the comments. And then I'll let y'all go, Vestas. I'll let y'all go. I'll let y'all go. And y'all know. Let me go ahead. Oh, Lord, Teresa on had your whole entire thing up there, Teresa. Your whole entire thing. Free Karmelo. Believe Karmelo. Lord, I'm praying for them 2 words. Hey, how you doing? I enjoyed it. God spared life. Tomorrow is the 18th. Yes. Hey, how you doing, Mita Lee? How you doing? It is stated that Coach Redmann mentioned Austin had a good size hole in it. That's what I'm looking for. Redmann. That's what I'm looking for. Hold on. Let me go on a monkey hunt. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. Hold on. Let me go in my arsenal. So it's not in 5. What volume is this? This is volume 6. Hold on. Oh, what is this? Volume 6. This is the medical examiner one also, y'all. They got 66 entries about wounds. Hold on. I'm not coming on tomorrow, but hold on. Let me share my screen. Hold on. They got 66 entries about a wound. Hold on, y'all. All right, let me go back in it. So once Austin kind of falls, where does blank go? Straight to him. Must have been Hunter. We all just wondering why he was like, we didn't see anything at first before Austin pulled up his shirt. So y'all, once again, Austin was talking, walking, and moving around after the incident, after the poking. So we were all of a kind of like we saw Austin fall back. Blank, I guess, went to go help him, get up. And that's when Austin started screaming. And that's when he pulled up his shirt and we saw a hole. So you yourself didn't even process there had been a blanking until you saw the wound. This has been a very quiet poking under that tent. Austin, just let me know that Austin didn't even scream when he got poked. This is a very quiet poking, y'all. Because the screaming that he was doing at the bottom when he was walking and talking and pulling up his shirt, he should have been doing that at the top. And when he was falling, y'all, good gracious. Okay. What you thought when you saw a shove meant a shove, right? Yes, sir. But what you found out is you saw a shove met with a, oh gosh, we already know this is the prosecutor. He said, yes, sir. And Austin goes down and you said blank went to him, right? No. After I saw the wound, I just dropped my bag and immediately ran over to get Coach Lou. Coach Lou is one of your trainers. He said, yes, sir. He works closely with the other trainer, Coach Tiffany Whitaker. Who is Tiffany Whitaker? Coach Tiffany Whitaker. Yes, sir. And were you able to find them? No, sir. They couldn't find Coach Lou or Coach Tiffany Whitaker. I wonder what was going on. Where were all the coaches? Yes, sir. Were you able to find them? He says, no, sir. Okay. When you couldn't find them, what did you do? I ran back to where it all happened. What did you find when you got back? I saw a coach take off his sweatshirt. At this point, Austin had already fell down, and I don't know, just unconscious, I guess. So he must have collapsed. I hate to ask you this, but I think it is important. When you went back, did you get a chance to look at Austin, his face? I mean, no, not really. Okay. I could only see his hands. Did you know how bad it was though? He said, yeah. Okay. Well, what did you do next? I tried jumping the fix back to the top of where the bleachers was, and the coach just pulling me back, telling me I can't be rat, there. One of them actually said, like, pick me up and grab me, but I was wrestling him and trying to go back up to the bleachers. In the meantime, I could see Hunter also getting like pulled back. Okay, it was a very upset, obviously, and distorting, right? Okay. Did you see after the stabbing where Karmelo Anthony go? Let's see. From where I was, I just saw him run down the bleachers and was like, oh, out of away of the bleachers. Okay, so that's the stab. Let me see here. Stab. After I saw the wound, I just dropped my bag. Okay. Did you see any wound on Austin? Yes, sir. There was a hole in his blue. Did you see the blood? Yes, sir. And then you ran. Yes, sir. Why did you run? Because I was scared. He still had the. Huh? Hold on. Did you see any wound on Austin? Yes, sir. There was a hole in his chest. Did you see the blood? Yes, sir. Then you ran. Yes, sir. Why did you run? Because I was scared. He still had the blank. Hey, y'all, this is the witness that ran to the trash can, y'all. This is the witness that ran to the trash can. The witness that ran to the trash can. So this Carson. Okay, but I was scared. He still had the blank. Who did he think had the blank? Where did you run to? I ran to. There was a trash can nearby. I ran to there. What did you do from that point? I turned back. This is the one in the trash can, y'all. I turned back around and went to Austin and tried to help him. So why did you go to the trash can? We still asking why he tried to go to the trash can. And when he went back to Austin and tried to help him, what did you see? I saw blank. A coach was holding, I'm going to say Hunter back, and then Austin was laying on the ground, and then a few others were calling 911, and trainers and coaches was rushing over there. And you said somebody was holding Hunter back. So he was being held back. And what were they holding him back from? Going to confront Karmelo. He was not even trying to. He was being held back from trying to confront Karmelo. He wasn't trying to help his brother. He was trying to confront Karmelo Anthony. Was he angry? Yes, sir. Did Austin look when you saw him that time? He looked. How did Austin look when you saw him at the time? He was blue, purple. He was laying on the ground. And things weren't looking good, correct? What did you do next? I went over to Austin, and then the trainers had pulled me off of him and told me to go back to the bus. The trainers pulling you off Austin? Yes, sir. So hold on. So this witness still had room to go to Austin, but Hunter was not focused on Austin. He was trying to get to Karmelo. What? But this witness still had time and the opportunity to go and actually touch Austin, because he said the trainers pull you off of Austin. He says yes, sir. So Hunter, instead of being with his brother, he's still trying to fight Karmelo Anthony. Why did they have to do that? I don't know. I guess they were trying to save him as well. Okay. And you were trying to help to correct. After they pulled you from Austin, what happened next? And then everybody was still walking on the bleachers. I was like telling them, like, get back to the bus. Oh my gosh. Okay. What's this right here? What witness is this? Okay, this is volume 6. Okay, volume 6. Okay, I documented exactly a stab woman in the chest. Okay, this is the medical examiner. This is the medical examiner. Oh man, this when it came back about the impalement. Oh, 0-6 with the medical examiner, boy. This is where the prosecution brought up the impalement. Oh my. Okay. Okay, this is still her. This is medical examiner. Yeah, this is still the medical examiner. And this could have been all of her testimony. I'm still looking for Redmann. Okay, so it's not in 6. Okay, it's not in 5. Hold on, y'all. Let me look one more place. 5, 4. Let's see what's in 4. Let's see here. Wound. Okay. It's only 11 instances. I can go through this one easy. Let's see here. Let me blow this up right here. So maybe that information is redacted. Who brought that up here? Who brought that? Bay Power. Maybe that's redacted. Okay. Let's see here. One group, including blank, went to aid Austin. Once Austin realized he had been blank, he lifted his shirt. Everybody saying he lifted his shirt and said, "I've been boom." The kid saw a gaping, bloody wound. That's the knife wound blank right through the heart. And he is stumbling down a few rows of bleachers and falls where he is attended by several of the kids and his twin brothers. Okay. Let's see here. Once the paramedics got and delivered medication and administered blood as he started, his color came back. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. No shot. Okay, hold on. No. Okay, hold on. This somebody. Okay, hold on. This somebody giving medical attention at the stadium. Yes, Coach Birch had his fingers on his neck trying to take a pulse. He said he could feel a slight pulse, so he was not dead. He was not dead. He probably just went into shock, but he wasn't dead. I was watching. I grabbed his wrist to find a pulse right here. I noticed he was blue in color, wasn't breathing, and then I said, I'm starting to rescue breaths to get ready for compressions. And so you do start doing that. He says, yes. And how long are you giving chest compressions? I give chest compressions. I never gave chest compressions. Y'all look at this right here. That was Redmann from Liberty and Lua Scala. Oh, Redmann messed up the chest. Coach Redmann messed up the chest. Okay. So we did a couple of rounds until AED arrives, and then we put AED pads on him. And did that help? No. It said analyzing rhythm, no shock advice, continue CPR, and we continue CPR until paramedics. And what's going through your mind when this is happening? I'm kind of like an autopilot. It was just, you stick with the training and you try to keep going until further help arrives. Did you have any hope in your mind? Once the paramedics got there and delivered medication and administered blood as he started, his color came back. I was hope, but I knew just from seeing the wound that it wasn't as hopeful as I had thought. Okay. So you did stop your treatment once the paramedics got there. He says yes. And then what happened after that? I helped the paramedics start the patient chart on him, giving his name, his birthday address, parents' name, and any type of allergies. And then the paramedics transfer him to the hospital. Yes. And what was your role, if any, did you have after that? Hang around and wait. Gotcha. Let's see here. Wound. Hey, y'all. I think I found it. Hold on. What page is this? 271. Hold on. Here we go. I think I found it. Once I got here, now I don't know who this is. Once I got here, he had his back to the fence. I was trying to figure out what happened. And I don't know. I don't recall if it was him or his brother, but saying he was blank. And then I realized I saw him holding abdominal. Holding his abdominal. I'm starting seeing blood. This is it. This is where the two wounds. This is it. Hold on. God dang. Hold on. Let me do my microphone. Hold on. Y'all, this is it. Who was that? Thank you so much, Bay Power. We found it in volume 4, y'all. I never opened up volume 4. We found it in volume 4. Volume 4, page 271. Here's the second room, y'all. Here is the second room, because I've been going crazy since last week. I'm like, I know Mike Howard said something about a second room, y'all. Here it is. Now, let me see here. That's still highlighted. Let me see who they talking. Who is this talking? In page around page 71. Hold on, y'all. 271. Let me see. Go to the tables of contents. Who's talking? This is 4 of 9. Who is this? 279. Joshua Redmann. So this is his testimony here. Directed by the state, crossed by the defense. There we go. 279. I'm gonna say 271. 271. 271. Let me go here and go back up. Whew. Once I got there, he had his back to the fence. I was trying to figure out what was happening. Okay. Oh, Lord. And I don't know if I don't recall if it had been him and his brother, but saying he was stabbed. And then once I realized that he was holding his abdominal, I started seeing blood. And so then I immediately ripped off my jacket and he went to the ground. And as he on the ground, I started putting my jacket, trying to put pressure on the S wound. And that's from your background and training in the military. Yeah? So he's the military vet. Yes, sir. Were you able to get compressions on the womb? As soon as I got him on the ground and put the jacket on, I immediately put pressure on the womb. And as soon as I did, I started yelling. Hold on. So somebody could say, oh, well, Tony talks. That doesn't mean he had a womb on the abdominal. Well, I can see how you could say that. But if Austin lifted up his shirt and he says, oh my gosh, I've been down, why he's not holding up here? Why he's not, why is he holding his abdominal? If he's been hit in the chest, y'all, do you see the logic? Do you see the forensics? If you've been hit in your here, why would you hold your abdominal? That means that, y'all, as soon as I got him on the ground, I put the jacket on. I immediately put pressure on the wound. As soon as I did that, I could start yelling for 911 for someone to call the paramedics. Here we go. Oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. At this time, it was just, it was a pretty good sized wound in his abdominal. Here it is, y'all. Here it is. Here it is. It was a pretty good size in his abdominal. I had to kind of put his brother, I kind of had to push his brother off his, y'all, I want to cuss so bad. I want to cuss so bad. I want to cuss so bad. Oh, I want to cuss out Collin County right now. You mean to tell me even after this came up in trial, nobody in Collin County even said in the news or the headlines or any article about this woman in the abdominal that there was a pretty good size, and this is where the coach, because we saw the womb in the chest, it was only 2 inches deep. The coach saying the womb in the abdominal is a pretty good size. For 69 days, Karmelo Anthony has been wrongfully convicted off of a chest wound that has went around the world. And nobody said, shh, don't say it. And it's sitting right here in the court partial transcripts. Is this why they didn't want the transcripts released? Oh my gosh, what are we talking about? Once again, I'm just going to say, what are we talking about? Let me keep reading. At this time, I want to say some words right now. It was a pretty good size abdominal in the womb wound in the abdominal, I had to kind of push his brother off to the side because his brother was, trying to hold him. And so I was trying to push his brother off so I could actually, get him down, lay him on flat so I could put pressure on the wound. As in the military, that's what they tell us to do. And for you investors, if you come across anybody in your family or yourself, even if it's yourself, and if somebody hits you or you accidentally impale yourself or stick yourself, the first thing you want to do, this is first aid 101. Always put pressure on let me calm down. Put pressure on that particular part of the injury part of your body. Make sure you get towels. Don't use your hands. Make sure you get something where you can apply pressure that's going to hold in the blood, because the intent is to hold in the blood so it doesn't come out. So this is what he was doing. You're right. This is military training here. Now, get jackets. Like I said, don't do your hands, because your hands, it doesn't saturate anything. You want to put pressure on that area of the body. It goes for the brain, it goes for the head, it goes for the face, anything, the hands, anything. Apply that pressure so that the blood can stay in. Okay? Military training 101. I can't believe this. And it's sitting right here in the transcripts. And you mean to tell me, Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, when you was up in the stands in the testimony under oath, you said nothing about the abdominal wound when it's right here in volume 4. But I forgot. I guess the rule is, since this is volume 4, the medical examiner testified in volume 6. I guess the prosecution said, and as long as if I don't answer or raise the question, the medical examiner don't have to even bring up the second wound. So that's the play that y'all did. That's the strategy you did. Everybody talking about a chest wound, And as soon, let me go down. About that time, shortly after Coach Stafford got on, and I was trying to get on, I believe it was our current coach director, Coach Butcher. He comes and he's on the track coming, and he's on the other side of the fence. He just asked what happened, and I said he was blank. And he immediately jumped over the fence to try to assist. How did you know Austin METCALF was blank? Just by the wound, and his brother or whomever it was telling me that he had been blanked. How was his brother demeaning while you was trying to aid him? He was like kind of freaking out, that would be expected in the situation. You are admitted, but he's not freaking out that much, not to help his brother, but to want to finish fighting Karmelo Anthony. That's where his rage was. That was his primary target, Karmelo Anthony. You administering first aid, at least mentally, do you form an opinion as to how this is going to turn out for Austin METCALF? Yes, sir. Based on the location of the wound, which then the fact that the initial bleeding was quite extensive, but this is the kind of, instead of blood coming out of the body, it is staying more internally in the abdominal area. I kind of had an idea of what was happening at that point. So he was definitely bleeding inside. Did you describe Austin color at this point? So I realized at this point was staying more in the abdominal. Why the coach is not saying the chest? Why the coach is not? The coach hasn't even, y'all hold on. Have y'all noticed that the coach hasn't said anything about a chest wound? Why the coach hasn't said nothing about a chest wound? If Austin has lifted his shirt up and showed everybody, the witness ain't said nothing about a abdominal wound. 2 witnesses we read. The officer ain't said nothing about a chest wound. He said basically he didn't know what was going on in the stadium. He was more focused on the suspect. 2 witnesses ain't said nothing about a stab wound, but they saw Austin lift up his chest. But Coach Redmann, he ain't said nothing about a chest wound. He's talking about abdominal wound. So, hey, is this also a smoking gun? Is this a smoking gun? So somebody else hit Austin in the chest, because if Karmelo Anthony would have hit him in the abdominal, right? They would have said, "Oh, yeah, Karmelo Anthony hit him in the abdominal." But no, they want us to believe that Karmelo Anthony hit Austin in the chest when something is going on here. Something is going on here. Why this coach is not even saying nothing about a chest wound? I'm finna go to the comments, y'all. I'm finna go to the comments. And the color started to drain out his face. His eyes was kind of rolled back, and you could tell, it wasn't going to be good. And at that point, you started seeing signs of life. Yes, sir. It eventually going to be a point where you realize there was no pulse. We started doing CPR on him. About the time, Coach Butcher was doing mouth breathing, another coach was doing compressions, and blood was kind of draining from his face. So hold on. So all of the blood in that jacket we saw came from the abdominal. No, all the blood was in the abdominal. Y'all, Austin METCALF had 2 wounds. 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 And Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, going back to you, on that 2D diagram, why you didn't show the wound on his abdominal? See, I knew it was funny about that white paper that we saw, the 2D diagram. We saw where she did the oval shape wound to the heart. But I noticed something was different, and I meant to bring this up, and maybe I did bring it up to you. Remember, we talked about the unique number for the autopsy. Everything that belongs to Austin METCALF was going to have that same number, 25 something 190, right? But I forgot to bring to you, and I'm about to pull this up, why she didn't put his name on there. She didn't put his birthday on there. She didn't put a date on there. She only put that number and that wound in her notes. That was it. Even the medical examiner should get her license taken away from her right here, because we got a whole coach on a witness stand talking about an abdominal wound. At this time, it's a pretty good size wound in the abdomen. That's it. That's all the 11. That's 11 instances of wound, y'all. Wow. We found it, y'all. Volume 4. All right, y'all. We found it. Volume 4. The wound in the abdominal. The wound. I'm still in shock, y'all. It's here. And Collin County. I wish judgment on Collin County so bad. I wish judgment on them. They got that young man sitting behind bars, and they wouldn't even bring up the abdominal wound, because remember, we've been describing everything, the whole entire reenactment. And it's like, I'm still saying, ain't no way, even if Karmelo Anthony is picked up, being pushed back, everything that they described in court. I said, but still, how did he get the knife up there to the chest at an angle like this, since he's right-handed? I still say it can't happen. And this whole entire time, Collin County and all the media folks and Fox News and Nancy Grace, what are you gonna say now? Because this wound, I said this even back there. Let me show y'all this here. Even back here, now I'm getting mad. Even back here, when we went through, God darn it, I took it down. Hold on. Even when I went through the CSI, part of this whole entire series on Karmelo Anthony, we're talking about maybe June the 17th or June the 19th. We're talking about over almost 2 months ago, 1 month ago, 2 months ago. I said, it ain't no way. And we didn't even have all of this information. I said, if Karmelo Anthony was in headlock if they had him like this, or if he was bent over, why would he even attempt to raise up? Now that we know a left hand, why would he raise up to hit Austin at a strange angle versus hitting him in the thigh, hitting him in the leg, hitting him in the shin, hitting him in the feet, especially if you're sitting down? Collin County, may you rot in hell. Collin County, I promise you, Collin County, may you rot in hell. And this was actually discussed in the juries. You 12 juries, you sit up there and you find this young man guilty. And they even discussed this in court. Look at the date of this. This was, what's the date of this right here? On June the 4th, the very first day of the trial. They discussed a second wound on the very first day of the trial. And the jury sit up there. They sit up there. They sit up there. 12 of them. And they find this young man guilty. And it's right here. Jury. It's right here. Based off this right here, Redmann, listen, based off this, y'all, I'm finna hyperventilate. The first day of the trial. The very first day of the trial. And this testimony by page number, Redmann. Last day of I guess he was the last witness for that day. So the jury and the courtroom, everybody knew it. The courtroom, the public, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, all the independent content creators. This is why they don't like independent content creators. This is why they don't like YouTubers, TikTokers. This is why they don't like us. The only people came out of that courtroom that had integrity was independent content creators. Independent content creators that came out of that testing room on the very first day and said, it's 2 wounds, y'all. It's 2 wounds. Why they're not talking about 2 wounds? And everybody with media credentials, the first ones that they wanted in the courtroom. And now, John Roach, now we know why you only limited 27 seats to the public. And thank God, the right 27 people was in that courtroom to take up those seats. Every last one of them. Because without them, we never would have heard of a second wound. We never would have heard of an abdominal wound. It would have been like, what? Thank you, God, for placing everybody in the place where they needed to be at the right time. Collin County. The spiritual death that is about to hit Collin County, it is justified. It is justified. It is justified. You have been found guilty in the spirit, Collin County. And everybody that stood by, and you saw that, and in the testament on the very first day, a coach is talking about the wound that actually took. Oh, why nobody ain't mentioned the abdominal wound? Because they know this is the wound that Karmelo Anthony made. This is the only one that makes sense, but they know this one took. But see, you're trying to cover up the person who hit him in the chest. So I raise again, who hit him in the chest? Because Karmelo Anthony did this one. He did this one. Who did this one? Who are you trying to really cover up? This is it. They're trying to cover up some. Hey, Pat Fallon, did your son hit Austin in the chest by accident or intentionally? Pat Fallon, or was it Hunter? But I'm thinking it was Pat Fallon or Hunter's son. It was Hunter or Pat Fallon's son. They're trying to cover up the person who hit him in the chest. They wouldn't have covered up for no Eddie. Maybe they would have covered up for Eddie, but all this for Eddie Parra? No. This is a son that must have had some type of okay, if the witness we just read, his mother was a doctor, that doctor was his mother was the METCALF pediatrics doctor, right? But what if it was another prominent son, a daughter under that tent that hit Austin in the chest, and they want to give Karmelo Anthony the hit? You know what? "68 days. And we finally see it for ourselves, y'all. 68 days. 68 days, y'all. It's just the proof that Karmelo Anthony had 2 wounds. Here's the proof that Karmelo had 2 wounds. 68 days. 69 days. We finally got here 69 days, y'all. 69 days. 69 days. "69 days. What if we would have gave up, y'all? Black community. What if we would have gave up on day 14, day 16, day 17, day 20, day 30, day 40, day 50, even day 60? What if we would have gave up, y'all? Now we know Karmelo Anthony. Even with logic and physics, he was attacked. He was assaulted first. He was hijacked. He was beaten up. He was brutal. Even the prosecution, in his line of questioning, you could tell Karmelo Anthony got pounced on. He got ganged up on. He even got grabbed. And he had all right to defend him. See, this is why they also didn't bring up the wound in the abdominal, because they would have been like, why did he hit him so low? Why did he hit him so low? Hey, he was being attacked. But they don't want to address who actually hit him in the chest, which is Adam. We got it, y'all. We got it, y'all. Page 271. We got it. We got it, y'all. Let me go to the comments. We got it, y'all. We got it, y'all. Hey, thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the love. I hope you're still in here, big homie. Thank you so much. She's going to have to read the cross. I'll read about 10 minutes, y'all. I don't have no more energy, y'all. I don't have no more energy. There was an internal bleeding in the abdominal. He wasn't going to make it. What if someone hit Austin in the chest with a weapon? And then he fell towards Karmelo? Right. Louise, this opens up a whole entire, because we know that those witnesses, they talked about Austin holding up. Hold on. This sheds light to so much that all those witnesses are not talking about what happened under the tent. Everybody now has to consider, what if someone hit Austin in the chest with the weapon and he fell on Karmelo as he was holding the weapon in his hands, or the other way around. We thinking this whole time, that Karmelo Anthony could have hit him first and somebody hit him in the chest second. When you're right, Louise, somebody could have hit him in the chest first. And when he fell towards Karmelo, the abdominal wound is the second wound. – 69 days, Rashida. 69 days. It's been some hard, long days, y'all. But we're here, y'all. Just like I had to be obedient, each one of you was drawn here also for whatever reason God had. Y'all stayed with me. Y'all stayed with Karmelo Anthony. Y'all stayed with me. 69 days, y'all. Thank you, Rashida. Thank you. Yeah. Believe Karmelo. This puts a different spin on Believe Karmelo. These whole entire transcripts put a different spin on Believe Karmelo. Boy, they hiding somebody. They are hiding the person that hit him in the chest. I look forward to Karmelo Anthony testimony. Someone's going to go in handcuff. Right, Bay. You still in here. How you doing, Bay Powell? So with all that moving back and forth to the trash, yes. I'm glad you didn't let me forget that. That was Carson. Why the prosecution didn't ask him why did he go to the trash can? So we assumed this whole entire time that nobody saw that boy run to the trash can. And even he admitted on the stands that he ran towards the trash can. The prosecution didn't even ask, why did you go to the trash can? Whew. Great word for breaking it down for us, Tony. Where they hanging there? That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Once we get Karmelo Anthony at least released to his family with conditions, whoo, we got so many cases. We got so many cases of them. And we can do it, y'all. Hopefully, we don't have to go this far. Hopefully, everybody does right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aries. Thank you. Whew. Had the second night. Free Karmelo Anthony. Come on, free Karmelo Anthony. Let's be, wow, you still in here, Bunny. Let's be clear, the stab in the abdominal cavity. Then the knife went, okay, hold on. Let's be clear, it was the stab in the abdominal cavity, then the knife went up over to the lower, I think it was 2 stabs and 2 weapons. I think we got 2. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. And once again, I got a little bit of strength. If I'm Karmelo and I'm sitting down, and now we know Austin is to the right of him, and I'm getting pushed and tugged and everything, how could Karmelo get something like this and twist it to hit him in the chest like this? It's two people. It's two people. It's two people. The trash can mail probably tampered with evidence. He never fell towards Karmelo. Didn't Karmelo lead the tent before he fell? Well, according to everybody that has testified, they said that Austin pushed him. He grabbed him with up here by the lapels and pushed him back, which caused Austin to go forward. So I'm assuming that's what they say. That's how he fell on him. So Two witnesses have described that type of motion between them two, but they all said that Austin grabbed him first, pushed Karmelo back, which caused him to lean forward. Whoo, whoo. Shirley. Yes, I see that. I see that. We just need, we already know God is going to move on the 19th and the 20th, y'all. We will, that's right. We will continue to pray until he gets home with his family again. Yes. So the other person, right? So who is the that's what I'm saying, Katrina. Who is the other person they're trying to protect? Is it Pat Fallon's son? Is it Hannah? Is it Eddie? Or is there somebody else that we don't know that has a prominent family in Collin County? They're protecting. Or maybe, I don't know. Or maybe Karmelo Anthony, as we know, hit him in the abdominal, and maybe he failed on something else in his chest, and they putting that on Karmelo Anthony. Somebody need to explain this. The medical examiner, we can't even believe nothing that she said, Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, because she didn't even bring up the stomach wound, and you are the medical examiner that did the autopsy. We can't even trust her no more, like we can't trust that medical examiner up in Ocean Springs. The medical examiner didn't even do her job right, even on the diagram. Well, I be dang. That's not on the autopsy either. See what I'm saying? She have Dr. Elizabeth Ventura. I wonder how much weight you have lost now. If Warren or Wyatt is looking like that in Ocean Springs after 30 or 40 days, imagine what Elizabeth Ventura is looking like behind the scenes after she know that Karmelo Anthony got this powerful legal coalition team. And now that this thing, I wonder how everybody is looking in Collin County. I want to see all of them. Oh my gosh. Oh, the defense team found many motions today. Really wish we had remote. Oh, they filed new motions today. Okay. Well, I will not be back tomorrow, but I'll only because I'm gonna definitely be here live Wednesday morning. I'm taking off. I'm taking leave to be here Wednesday morning because they say the motion to recuse John Roach should only occur within like 3 hours. I'm taking off just to be here and scream, y'all, just to keep y'all informed. Whew. It's yes. Thank you for staying the course, man. This was a pleasure, and I'm still here. I definitely appreciate you. Listen, y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't know. Y'all don't know. But trust me. I thank for each and every one of you for just being here. But I always said, if one showed up, I still was going to report. One showed up, I'm still going to report. But y'all, I'm so grateful. Hundreds of y'all stayed with me. And we still got work to do. But this is proof. They would be a powerful visual for Nolan, right? Ocean Spring, Mississippi, held by Pastor Jamal Bryant. Okay. And on the same day, when we're sending up prayers, we're going to send for Karmelo. Isn't that funny? On the same day that it's going to be a prayer visual for Nolan, we'll be calling Karmelo Anthony will be in Collin County, also fighting for his life. We definitely, yes. If I can't get a live stream or somebody live streaming the proceedings in Collin County, I definitely showed the prayer visual for Nolan, because both of them young men will be held up in prayer on that day. There was another person on YouTube said it was Eddie, but why would they, unless Eddie parents has some prominent position, why would they protect Eddie? Unless they go protect Eddie because Eddie would spill the beans and say, oh, no, everybody want to get Karmelo. That's the only way I can see them protecting Eddie. If Eddie is protected, is protecting the secret of the gang, of the bully gang. But Lord, they got some questions to answer. They got some questions to answer. No, they didn't, Wildy. No, they didn't. They showed he went up towards Austin, and they showed him moving back. I don't expect anyone I don't think anybody saw the 2 stabbings. Matter of fact, everybody that we read the testimony for the 2 witnesses, they said they didn't even see the first stabbing. They said they didn't even see Karmelo with nothing in his hands, y'all. I believe it was Hunter when he went to Me Too, Bay. I'm standing on that. Now I can see them protecting Hunter. I can't see them protecting Eddie, but I can see them protecting Hunter or Pat Fallon's son. Woo. 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 And I almost ended the live. If I didn't see that from that investor that put that in about Coach Redmann, I said, well, let me go. I almost ended the live, y'all. I almost ended the live. Not coming back tomorrow. I never would have known it was sitting here. It was all God. Perfect timing. I was told no remote for disabled. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. They were violating federal law for ADD. Wow. So we gonna have to wait, y'all. Then we gonna have to wait. It was one of the cheerleaders. Who knows? It could have been anybody. I'm doing good in yourself. Austin picked him up by the lapel, according to the witness, and shoved him backwards. And so that's way it looks like he was going back and forth. That is right. They said it was, it was violent under that tent. Was it announced to what time the hearing would start? 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. But I will say this, it may not be streaming, but I definitely will be watching the No Guilty Boys channel. They say they will be live. They will be streaming. I guess they will be providing updates. So I'm going to be still locked in. I'm still going to be locked in. I'm going to be locked in. If they, I'm still going to be locked in. I'm still going to be streaming something. Even if I got to do a recap until I can do a recap for 3 hours until they come out with something. If they had a chance to send Eddie or Karmelo to prison, you're right. Hey, Lady E. 69 days. Thank you, Lady E. Vestas, I'm really tired. I wish I could go through all of the comments, but I'm beat. So, Vestas, thank y'all. Thank y'all. It was definitely a team effort. I needed you. You needed me. And we all needed God to even get this far. 69 days. And it's here. Vestas. I'm going to leave you on that. Yeah, sold out for Christ. I said that in the beginning. Sold out for Christ. Have a great night. You have a great night too. You're welcome, Cindy. I hate they protecting Eddie. Team up. Get some rest. Regenerate your people. All right, Vestas. Vestas, until next time, make sure you go ahead and get your notes, your drink, and your vest. We stay vested up over here. Tony Talks vested up, compelling sports edge. Investors, I will see you Wednesday morning, okay? But congratulations, Vestas. We still got some work to do. But thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for all of it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Vestas. Thank you. We got the answer, y'all. We got it. We got the answer, y'all. What happened under that tent, unless they don't want to see it and they don't want to know, because you have to, there is a cause and effect. What made Karmelo Anthony jump out of that tent? We saw multiple bodies push from the front to the back and to the side. And like I said, I'm going to say it again. Wouldn't it be ironic that Hunter METCALF and Austin METCALF had sandwiched Karmelo Anthony between themselves? Austin pushes Karmelo into Hunter. Hunter, once he said this, I didn't see the knife. That means that if you didn't see the knife, that means that Karmelo Anthony's back was to you. And when you pushed him towards your brother, because y'all really thought that y'all was about to double team that young man out in them stands, when you pushed your brother. If you was the one that pushed him into Austin, it was your push and your power and your weight that pushed Karmelo Anthony into your brother with that utility tool.